Of course, the 12-year-old queen of Assyria didn't know anything about the knowledge of the wedding night. For her, the wedding was to put on the wedding dress and to visit the scene of the city in public. No king dared to ask the great and holy queen to do anything on the wedding night. For them, this wedding was essentially a ceremony for them to swear their allegiance to the queen. Moreover, due to the poor quality of the puppets made by the kings, the time for the queen to stay in the city was always very little. She could barely stay until the wedding night. A few kings would be honored to accompany the curious queen for a walk, which was worthy of their lifetime glory. Therefore, as the young queen, she had no idea what the bride really needed to do during the wedding night. After all, kings had no right to spend the night with the queen. It's just that this time, it's different. White Moon, made by Yun, she not only had minimal magic consumption, but also could be used freely without any restrictions. Therefore, for the first time, the queen stepped out of the secluded underground lake and appeared in the sunshine world in a complete manner. The world was so beautiful and full of new things for the young queen of Assyria. She doesn't have to hide her identity and play a silent, mysterious bride this time. Laugh if she wants to. Run if she wants to. She can talk to all people naturally and touch everything in the palace at will. Everyone was smiling at her and welcoming her. This is living. Even if it had only lasted less than a day, the queen had felt that she was unable to leave such a beautiful world. The thousands of years in the underground lake were like a dream in the darkness. She likes the world. She wants to stay in the world. Talk with everyone. Laugh heartily. Even crying is more happiness than that being lonely for a long time. Well, including this wedding night, she was also very interested. What is this wedding night? She looked at the embarrassed female official with curious and expectant eyes. Ah, it's true. The female official realized that the queen of Assyria was nothing but a piece of white paper on this, so she sighed. Indeed, a 12-year-old child is a little princess who should be chasing butterflies in the sunshine. It's a pity that she needed to take responsibility as the queen of the kingdom. But this is the royal family, and this is politics. Now that the king had decided to marry the unknown Princess White Moon, then she must accept all this. And she would also fulfill her responsibility to teach all the things that are not taught in the textbooks to this innocent princess. Oh, poor kid. She is still so young. But she has to bear the responsibility that she shouldn't bear at this age. Mumu has come to attend the wedding night course. Just as the female official hesitated on both sides of the balance of morality and responsibility, Mumu came running and looked at the young queen excitedly. You are? The female official looked at Mumu, who was even a little younger than the queen, in amazement. Her common sense was breaking. Why you asked me to come? I'll take this course with White Moon. With an innocent expression, Mumu said happily. Although, her task was just to see what White Moon is doing and to stay with her. Mumu presumed that she would be White Moon's little partner and act with her these days. The leader of Starwing Knights. Why you? The female official looked at Mumu with a complicated look. Did you choose this girl to be a dowry for Princess White Moon? In fact, this is also one of the wedding customs of nobles. The maids who accompanied the aristocratic girls to marry into their husbands' families are actually the same as married together. During the period of the mistress's discomfort or pregnancy, these maids will be responsible for the task of serving the mistress' husband. No matter how they are treated, they will never complain. Their origins are mostly the daughters of the lower nobility, or the poor civilians who have to sell their daughters to the nobility. It's strange that all the queens had never had such a dowry, which puzzled many people. These mysterious queens always appeared and disappeared suddenly. Because of this, the female officials of the royal family never had the chance to do their duties. Until this generation, she will finally fulfill her responsibilities for the first time as the first female official in history. Hello, I'm White Moon. The queen of Assyria looked at Mumu, who was smaller than herself. There were almost no children in the whole palace. This was the first time she had met a young partner of her own age. I'm Mumu, a knight of the Starwing Knights. Mumu looked curiously at the queen, who was a little older than herself. Is she the queen who will marry the prince? She looks lovely. And somehow there's a kind of smell, which makes her feel very kind and makes her like it very much. I want to lick it. That was what Mumu thought and did. With her small, fragrant tongue stretched out, Mumu kissed the queen's snow-white cheek and bit her ear, and indulged in the softness of her long black hair. Well, that's true. It's a great feeling. Aha! The queen of Assyria looked at Mumu in confusion and didn't know what to do at this time. But it's not a nasty feeling. Just as Mumu had some natural intimacy with the queen also had a strange intimacy with Mumu and didn't resist her intimacy at all. Cough. This course has not yet reached this stage. Looking at the two little girls who were already intimate and full of charming atmosphere, the female official coughed. Even if it is not taught in the textbook, it is also necessary to follow the basic rules. It is not good to start from this stage. Little sister, where are you from? It's so delicious. Mumu was intoxicated with the queen's fragrance, more precisely, White Moon's fragrance. It was mixed with the fragrance of moonlight branches, just like the fragrance of moonlight wine. It was White Moon's special charm. Especially for Mumu, just absorbing some elements from White Moon's body would make her blush. Your taste is also very good. It was rare that not only the queen, but also the White Moon, who had just been born, had an extraordinary liking for Mumu. It seems that in some parts, they have surprisingly similar characteristics. Huayu says Mumu is going to be with White Moon. Mumu completely forgot that Huayu told her to keep it a secret. Well, let's come to listen to the course together. Let's study. What is the wedding night? The black-haired girl and the silver-haired girl held each other's hands, looking at the female official who would teach this course. Your Majesty, I understand your difficulties, but it's really two. The female official tried to control her emotions and began to perform her responsibility helplessly. First of all, Princess White Moon and Mumu, you are both going to marry the prince, so the wedding night is an important moment you have to go through. White Moon nodded. I see. That's why I had to study for the wedding night course. Prince? Isn't he? Mumu listened to the female official's guidance with full interest. Her two little feet were twinkling and rippling in a lovely arc. As the female official spoke, the content of the course gradually moved towards the realm of adults, and the two little girls' reactions were also quite different. Yeah, really? Do we have to do that? How could it be? That prince and I. White Moon looked at the female official foolishly, and her mouth opened wider and wider. Not only she, but also another child who eavesdropped on the course had a huge impact on her world outlook. I see. That's what the so-called wedding night is about. No, absolutely not. How can I bear it? Dad is mine. I'll never give him to anyone. The mating ceremony of human beings is so complicated. Mumu's eyes were full of confusion. There was a difference between the common sense of the dragon race and that of the human race. Isn't that how Mom and Dad give birth to her? Puff, that's all for today's course. After teaching the most basic knowledge of the wedding night, the female official felt very tired. It turns out that it's full of guilt to teach this knowledge to children who don't know anything. Originally, the daughters of nobility would be imparted this knowledge only when they were about 16 years old and began to choose engagement partners. She didn't expect that in this generation, the queen would be such a little girl. Your Majesty, though it is a great sin of disrespect, I still want to say, well, is that so? Mumu's curiosity and action power were much stronger than those of the female official who was full of thoughts at this moment. Only after learning the first lesson, she began to practice. Target. The shy little sister. Put out one hand. Mumu pressed the queen's hands and gently separate her feet. Well, Mumu is a good kid who studies hard. It seems this posture is not right. The queen of Assyria shook her head. She held Mumu's white face and kissed her. Woo, well, two smooth and delicious tongues intertwined with each other. Silver thread falling from the two little girls' lips and tongues, showing the color of tempting crime. White Moon is also a good child who loves to study. Cough. Yes, that's probably how it feels. The details are not so important. It's important to make the partner feel comfortable. In other words, posture doesn't matter. It's about whether the other side is satisfied. The queen extended her little feet, and her toes touched Mumu's chest. She remembered that when she stepped on the prince's body with her feet, he seemed to show a very comfortable expression. In this way, I should be able to add points to the wedding night course. Little sister, your feet are beautiful. Moo grasped the white and tender feet, gently rubbing the bent arch, smoothing her instep, and then naughtily opened the 10 toes. Ah, there. The queen's face was flushed with shyness, and the feeling of crispness and numbness swept her whole body. With a smile, Moo gently bit the queen's sensitive toes, then stretched out his little tongue and licked the soft feet. From the sole of the foot to the instep, from the arch of the foot to the lower leg, Moo had practiced the courses she learned one by one. The rhythm of kissing, the timing of sipping, the posture and reaction of being a bride. What an interesting dream. Whoa, Moo, you bully me. The queen's petite body was shaking constantly, and there was a hazy color in her eyes. It turns out that this is what we need to learn on our wedding night. On the wedding night, am I going to do something like this with the prince? From the tip of the foot to the cheek, all should be licked like this and further. Oh, it's so embarrassing. On the other hand, someone who doesn't know what it means to hide her emotions. Yes, I'm saying you. Ling. Prince, don't marry that white moon. Resting on Yunshi's shoulder, Ling acted coquettishly. Meilan almost made a mistake in writing the crucial judgment when she heard Ling's voice. Ling, what a fool you are. Didn't we decide to come to test the king's true heart? What kind of test is this? Sure enough, she is just a hopeless fool. In fact, his hesitation undoubtedly increased Ling's arrogance and gave her confidence to advance. I am the closest to you, my prince. Ling began to play cute again. I took a bath with you and slept with you. Even our leader didn't do these things with you. Oh, why did she remember that? He didn't expect she would. What? Have they done these things? This was Meilan's thought. She had a heartbreak. Oh, it's true. Yunshi recalled all kinds of games they had played, such as doctors and patients or card games, which had the rule that the loser must take off a piece of clothing. By the way, as long as it's a duel, the stupid Ling had never won against the prince once, so she was always played with by him by various means. Hey, where does this memory come from? The setting of this world is too bad. He was surprised by the memory about the prince of this trial world generated by the stars. I know it. Meilan's small hand was shaking, but even with such a sad expression, she still insisted on her duty. As a secretary, if I can't finish my job, I'm not qualified to stay with the present prince and the future king. Even if the kingdom is destroyed and the king is betrayed, she will stay with him and deal with his affairs for him faithfully. This is the road she chose. No matter what road the king took, she would accompany him and advance with him. The secretary is the king's pen, which is used to announce the king's will. No matter what the king is, she will be loyal to him, which is the way of the secretary's love. Prince, with a sweet voice, Ling launched an attack on him, regardless of Meilan's presence. No. Yunshi's resistance was just as powerless as the little white rabbit facing the big gray wolf. Every shaking of Ling breasts made his face blush and his heart thump. Every breath of Ling would speed up his breathing. Ah, what a little succubus that can't be rejected. With such a secretary, how can I be a gentleman? Whoa. Oh, the prince is bullying me. Ling's tears announced his defeat. In addition to Meilan's glances from time to time, Yunshi felt that he was about to commit a crime. Who is bullying whom in the end? He issued a silent cry and finally raised his hand to surrender. I'm sorry. It's impossible not to get married. This is the tradition of the royal family. It's not just a tradition, it's a ritual passed down from generation to generation, and it's a pledge made by the Queen of Assyria. Then after marriage, will the queen still be here? Ling, biting Yunshi's ear, asked the crucial question for the Starwing Knights. That's it. Meilan's ears popped up in an instant. The answer to this question is very important. It was not only for the Starwing Knights, but also for the whole kingdom. In a word, Yunshi's answer would determine the fate of the whole Starwing Knights, even the whole kingdom. According to the historical records, the queen would only appear on the wedding day, and then disappear without a trace. Only this time, this tradition was broken. Before the wedding day, the queen appeared in the palace. What's more, it's a 12-year-old girl with a recognizable name, White Moon. For the Starwing Knights, it was a huge blow. For the Guardian Kingdom, this was also a big enough of an event to affect the whole kingdom. If the queen is no longer a symbol but a living human, there are too many things that will be involved. She probably won't stay. Yunshi hesitated and answered. According to his calculation, the young queen of Assyria's true body probably can't leave the underground lake. In the past 1,000 years, all the kings had proved this. This time, after completing the wedding ceremony, Her Majesty should return to the quiet underground lake as usual. At least, from Yunshi's common sense, it's the most reasonable answer. Well, he just forgot to think about how unreasonable his white moon he created was. Yeah, great. Ling Ling smiled, licked his ear with her little tongue, and then kissed his cheek heavily. Sure enough, the prince is the best. Well, everything is still on track. Mei Lan held her glasses and smiled happily. Why she was so happy? She didn't understand Ling Ling's idea at all. Prince, I love you the most. Ling Ling hummed a ditty and beat his shoulder with her chest and hands at the same time, which made his shoulders relax. After hammering for a while, Ling Ling suddenly blushed and asked Yunshi quietly, Prince, do you want to drink milk? Milk? Yunshi swallowed a mouthful of saliva subconsciously, and the taste buds seemed to recall some very sweet taste. In that vague memory, it's very delicious special milk. Even he couldn't drink it often. Only Ling Ling knew where to find and deliver it. Well, I'm just a little hungry. Then, I'm going to prepare it. Mei Lan, come and help me. Ling Ling answered, and her cheeks suddenly turned red and her breathing became very fast. Ah, that regular one. Yunshi doubted if it was his delusion. But Mei Lan's eyes were full of jealousy when she looked at Ling Ling, well, the regular one. Ling Ling took Mei Lan's hand and left his study. Puff. Thank God, I have a hard-working secretary. Looking at the small pile of documents that Mei Lan had processed, Yunshi was relieved. If he had dealt with it himself, it would probably take him 3 days and nights. Just thinking about the complicated relationships among nobles, the expenses, the state's inventory and so on, would have made his brain hurt. It's amazing that Mei Lan can handle so many complicated things in order. By comparison, Ling Ling, well, her shoulder massages seems to have improved again. In the secretary's room not far from the study, Mei Lan and Ling Ling were having a routine secret ceremony. Mei Lan, you're so good. I'm dizzy when I read those documents. Ling Ling took a big sip of milk and looked at Mei Lan, who also drank milk with jealousy. There is nothing to envy about the ability to deal with government affairs. Mei Lan sipped her milk with papaya, which was a recipe known to the Starwing Knights. As long as we have enough exercise to master the aristocratic relationship, the business circle of local businessmen, and any conflict of interests, anyone can do similar things. The post of secretary has never been irreplaceable, but there are some things that only you can do. Ling Ling, such as this. After drinking her papaya milk, Mei Lan looked at the fuller peaks of Ling Ling, and her eyes seemed to be burning. Coo, coo, goo. After drinking 10 boxes of milk, Ling Ling stretched out her tongue and licked the white liquid on her lips. Then she breathed deeply. Huh. Well, this was not the dragon breath of the martial artist, but the preparation before using a special ability. The milk she drank was different from Mei Lan's. It was the only magic medicine specially prepared for her by Lulu, the only pharmacist of the Starwing Knights. It contains a variety of materials, among which several valuable herbs, and have some special effects. As for the effect, well, it's a little secret between them. It seems coming out. Holding the huge and plump peaks on her chest, Ling Ling blushed. Sure enough, no matter how many times I try, I'm still not used to it. In the same way, no matter how many times she had seen it, Mei Lan couldn't help envying. Why only Ling Ling has such a milk-secreting physique? Even after drinking Lulu's secret medicine, and all the Starwing Knights, it can only be done by Ling Ling. Sure enough, is it the difference between the size of the breasts? Ling Ling's talent in this realm is amazing. Visually, after drinking the miraculous medicine made by Lulu, There was a trend of the continued development of her breasts. How envious this was. Stupid Ling Ling. Even so, Mei Lan, as a good friend of Ling Ling, stretched out her hands and began to take off Ling Ling's coat to expose the soft and smooth pair of white rabbits. Pinch, knead, squeeze, press. After a series of skilled techniques, the fragrant milk named Ling Ling's specialty was born. After drinking about 10 boxes of milk mixed with Lulu's secret medicine, it was finally condensed into a small glass of snow white and sweet milk, giving off a kind of intoxicating taste. This is the talent of Ling Ling, and only Ling Ling can do this miracle. Every time Mei Lan helps Ling Ling to squeeze out this special product, Mei Lan feels that her personal outlook and world outlook have been greatly hit. Today's quality is very good. Ling Ling stretched out her little tongue and licked the milk and looked satisfied. This must be because the milk is full of her love for the prince. She can imagine the happy voice of the prince after drinking this special milk. Good taste. After drinking, she emitted a happy voice from his throat. Ling Ling's milk was sweeter and more delicious than that in his memory, with a little warmth. It was just like the milk was just squeezed out. Well, as a prince, there are still some enviable privileges. In his memory, only Ling Ling knew where to find this kind of milk. He always thought it was strange that there was no cow in the palace. Where is the fresh and delicious milk produced? He had asked Ling Ling several times, but she always avoided answering and her face blushed like a ripe apple. Well, that's probably the girl's secret, but the milk is good to drink. Late at night, the headquarters of the Starwing Knights. That young lady is very nice. She has learned a lot with me. Mumu complacently reported to the leader of the Starwing Knights, and she didn't find that Hua Yu had been putting a bad look on her face for a long time. She asked Mumu to ask for information and find out the weakness of the other party. Yes, she didn't ask her to take any bride lessons with the mysterious Princess White Moon. Although it seems to be a success, what's the matter with being the dowry of Princess White Moon? This kind of good thing, accident, is too bad. So her engagement with the prince has long been decided? When the last king died, it was time for the prince and her to fulfill their agreement. As the leader of the Starwing Knights, Hua Yu smelt some conspiracy from Mumu's words. Well, she said it was an unshakable agreement. All the kings need to marry the queen. It's just that she doesn't seem to know what a wedding night is. Mumu told Hua Yu everything. Did she tell you where she came from? Where is her family? The more she investigates, the more she can find out the abnormality of the queens. Why does everyone think that this engagement is a matter of course? Obviously, the queens are so weird, as if they don't exist in the world before their appearance. No matter how Hua Yu investigates the ancient documents, there is no trace of the existence of any queen family. It's not normal. If the queen was born into a noble family, she would leave traces on the documents of the kingdom. The so-called mysterious tribe is nothing at all. This is the judgment of the leader of the Starwing Knights after investigating all the noble family heraldry since the founding of the kingdom. As long as there is a family, it is impossible to leave no record in all literature. There is no such thing as the family the queen came from. After discovering the truth, Hua Yu couldn't believe her eyes. The queen comes from the most mysterious, the oldest family has always been firmly believed by the upper class of the kingdom. They seem to believe for generations that there is such an ancient and mysterious family in the kingdom, that is, the great family known as the Queen's family. But Hua Yu's investigation totally denied this answer. From the records of selling luxury goods to the records of using carriages, all the records closely related to aristocratic life have been checked by Hua Yu. It can be 100% sure that the so-called Queen family is a legend that does not exist at all. As for the rich dowry of the queens, the luxurious wedding that made the whole kingdom boiling, they were all from the royal family. In other words, the mysterious queen family in the eyes of nobles is essentially the royal family guarding the kingdom. This secret has been hidden for thousands of years. More than 1/3 of the wealth of the royal family is used to hold such weddings. Almost none of the kings is hedonist. Most of them are serious knights. Most of the wealth they accumulated as the leader of a kingdom was spent on their once-in-a-lifetime wedding. It also creates a false impression that the dowry of the queen of every wedding is so rich that no one can doubt that the mysterious queen comes from the noblest and oldest mysterious family. Only a mysterious noble family can support such a luxurious dowry and wedding. No one would think that these dowries were all made by the royal family itself, and all the costs of the wedding were borne by the king. The queens have never produced a gold coin or a piece of jewelry. After the wedding, they will disappear without a trace. After discovering this, you couldn't believe it. What debt did the kings owe to the queen? Unexpectedly, every generation of the king would use all his savings to hold the wedding. The kings, who have always lived a life of a knight, are only extravagant and wasteful at this wedding, which is not in line with the impression they give to the people. It was not until the leader of the Starwing Knights, who was serious enough and careful enough, began to thoroughly investigate everything about the queen, that the royal family's great lie was revealed. No, maybe it's not a lie. The royal family has never said that these dowries, including the cost of the wedding, are the life savings of the kings. Because this is the wedding of the king and queen, all the expenses are consumed in the name of the wedding. Even if Huayu tells the truth, no one will believe it, let alone it is not a crime. All the kings of the past are willing to do it, including Yun Shi. He also took the initiative to approve all the wedding expenses without any hesitation. The water in it is too deep to see the bottom. There is a problem. The problem is too big. Asked Mumu about the information about the queen's family. She still got nothing useful information. Huayu affirmed again. There is a plot. All the weddings of kings have problems. After spinning the cocoon, Huayu found that all the roots can be traced back to the first king of the kingdom. He is known as the ancestor of the royal family and the bravest knight. He was such a perfect king, naturally. When he first announced that he would marry a queen who had never been seen, he had encountered numerous objections. This was also the first king's wedding in the history of the kingdom to be opposed. For those who objected, the powerful knight chose to suppress and beat all the subordinates who showed their objections, and finally married the mysterious queen in the dispute. This custom lasted for 3 successive generations of kings. When the nobles realized that it was impossible to reverse the king's strange behavior, they finally accepted it. As time goes by, the custom of the king marrying the mysterious queen has naturally become the tradition of the kingdom until now. Sure enough, this is not normal. This kind of wedding. It's not right. After discovering the truth of history, the leader of the Starwing Knights, Huayu, made up her mind. She wants to change this history and accomplish what the nobles failed to accomplish. There is only one truth. Huayu made up her mind. Put down all the records about the mysterious queen that can be found. No matter what the price is, she will stop the wedding. This is not only for herself, but also for all of the girls of the Starwing Knights, and also for this kingdom. She is not against the prince's marriage, and even can accept that the bride is not herself, but only this white moon cannot be the bride. After investigating the final records of the kings, she found a very frightening fact. All kings were not able to die a natural death. As if suffering from some terrible curse, no king died in his boots, and the oldest of all kings had only lived for 60 years. The average lifespan of kings is only in their 40s, and the longest in office is only a few decades. It's not normal. It's absolutely not normal. Every generation of the king is a powerful knight, and will inherit the god weapon Holy Vengeance, which represented that all kings were at the hero rank and were recognized by the god weapon. It is impossible for a hero rank knight to get sick at all. Their vitality can be more than 100 times that of ordinary people. Even if a hero-ranked person's heart is penetrated, he will not die immediately. No hero-ranked people would be killed with a single blow unless you cut off his head. It's not normal that most of such powerful kings are so short-lived. Although human beings are not immortal, they can surpass the life limit of human beings when they reach the hero rank. For example, the Queen of Assyria, it's not surprising that she has lived for thousands of years. In the existing records of hero-ranked knights in the kingdom, there are several masters who have been active for more than a century. It's almost like being cursed that none of the hero-ranked kings can live to be more than 60 years old. It's an unknown secret about the king's final death. It seems that at a certain stage, the strong king will start to age quickly. From the high-spirited middle-aged appearance, they will quickly become an old man. Once the symptoms of rapid aging appear, there is no medicine to work as a cure, and they will die in a few years. During this period, the appointed prince will assume the responsibility of the king. When the king dies, the prince will hold a moonlight ceremony, marry the mysterious queen, and become the new king. Everything is like a reincarnation, starting from the first king and continuing to this prince. How could there be such a thing? The prince will die early if he marries the queen. How cruel is the fate of the royal family? Hua Yu felt that her heart was beating faster and faster, and her breath was also getting shorter. How could this happen? She would never allow her loved ones to come to such a tragic end. I must cut off this reincarnation, no matter what kind of price I have to pay. It's a tragedy to kill your father and marry your mother. Yuanxi laid on the empty big bed. This is the king's bedroom, where all the kings sleep alone. No king allows his lover to step in here. Only royal augurs who know the truth can enter this room to clean and decorate. As for the interest of the kings, well, it is clear at a glance. Looking up, you can see a picture of the young queen of Assyria in a white wedding dress. Turning around, there is a lamp with a pattern of ancient Assyria. On the wall, there are paintings of the young queen of Assyria with different ages and angles. Well, I know you all like Her Majesty, but don't go too far. It can be seen that these paintings and murals contain the most burning feelings in the hearts of the kings, and at the same time, they also bear the traces of their degeneration. Without exception, at the bottom of these portraits, there are striking spider remains and human faces. Under the blood moon, Hua Yu made up her mind. Faces are indistinctly fused with spiders, presenting a very strange painting style. Compared with the perfect queen of Assyria, the ugliness of these spiders forms a sharp contrast, which even more sets off the purity of the young queen. So this room can't be shown to anyone. There are too many curses and craziness in it. Only the royal bloodline who can bear the curse and bear the tragic mission can be entitled to become a prince, so that after the previous king becomes a sacrifice, the mission of the royal family can be continued. Of course, none of this has anything to do with Yuanxi. Looking at this strange painting style, he just sighed at the great heart of the kings, and then put on the quilt to sleep. Today, I'm really tired. 2 days before the wedding. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The murmur from the red crescent echoed in Yuanxi's ear. It was the voice that all kings would hear. It originated from the curse of the original vow of the bloodline. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. There seemed to be other voices. A girl in pajamas slipped into the room. This king's room had a very special guest. The cursed breath on the mural seems to be sluggish in the group, looking at the uninvited guest at a loss. Dad. While the queen was sleeping, the cute little puppet came to Yuanxi's ear and said the magic word. Heir. Who? Yuanxi opened his eyes vaguely and reached out his hand to hold the girl skillfully. This feeling, Mumu or Lulu? The hands and feet are very thin, which is not the same as the full and fleshy feeling of Ling Ling, but also different from the gentle and moving curve of Hua Yu. I feel very familiar with this outline. Guess who I am? The girl tightly squeezed the skirt corner of her pajamas. It's like a dream. Is this the reward of the night raid? The fragrance of hair. What a good smell. If I feel so familiar, it should be one of my brides. Well, Yuanxi's intuition told him that the answer seemed to be right. In the water god's world, Yuanxi married millions of brides. In the days when he stayed in the water god's world, as the apostle of the water god, he learned a lot of knowledge that would not be taught in textbooks, but brought by the passionate brides. For example, Lamia girls are very fond of getting tangled. The brides of the mermaid race share a surprisingly common interest. In contrast, most of the human girls are shy and timid. There are too many brides, which makes him often confused about who is with him at night. He can only tell the race by his general feeling. Because there are so many brides, and many of them are petite, Yuanxi subconsciously forgot that he had left the water god's world and took the girl who sneaked into his quilt as one of them. So who is it? Smelling the familiar fragrance of hair, his hand stroked the soft hair all the way down, pinched the mysterious girl's ear. It's not sharp, so it's not the dark elf, black obsidian. The first experience is always unforgettable. The night, the canyon, the first blood and cry under the tree are memories that Yunshi will never erase. She always comes quietly, and then walks away quietly. Besides leaving a reflection in the Mist Soul Army, he can't keep up with her. Her destiny line with Yun she intersects by chance, and then separated. He will never forget the outline of her ears. It's sharp, and will spring up with a little pinch. It's a wonderful and lovely shape. It's the characteristic of the elves. He crossed out an unforgettable name, and began to continue the game of Guess Who I Am. If it's not black obsidian, is it Mumu? However, the taste seems not the same. His hand continues down and pinches the mysterious girl's face. Mumu's skin has a very unique feel. It's soft and tender when gently pinched, but it will spring up with a little effort. He will not forget that Mumu is a child with the godlike talent of the diamond body. That seemingly weak girl's body, once it erupts into real power, it will be as unstoppable as the eruption of a volcano. How strong is the diamond body? It has been shown vividly when fighting against the degenerated king. If the degenerated king didn't sacrifice all his wisdom and human nature, he could have killed the degenerated king just by using the diamond body. So, despite Mumu's harmless appearance, her real combat ability is very strong. Well, it's much softer than Mumu. It's not Mumu. His hands continued to move down, brush the mysterious girl's lips, and then slide onto her neck. Such a slender and lovely neck is a rare example even among millions of brides. The goal in his mind is reduced by 99% in an instant. Even so, the number of millions of brides is still a huge base, and even after 99% is removed, there are still thousands of girls in line with this proportion. Considering that the flavor of hair can be brought by some kind of magical perfume, his hands can only continue to explore downward and continue to reduce the number of targets with the elimination method. Stupid as he is, he can only guess the name of his petite bride in such a simple and understandable way. Some hazy names began to emerge in his mind. Is she Esther Elizabeth? Her height seems to be in line with that of this girl. The problem is, the contour of the chest seems to be wrong. She couldn't be her. The elimination method continues. If she isn't Elizabeth, can she be little Princess Lamia? Lamia Gorgonfea, the youngest child of the Lamia race, who has just turned 100. But if she's Fea, his feet extended out a little, but they didn't meet the smooth snake tail he expected. No, it's not the youngest Lamia princess nor any other Lamia girls. Moving his toes close to the girl's toes again, stick them together with the mysterious girl's feet, and feel the warmth of each other's fragrant soft arch, the smoothness of the instep, and the curvature of the shell-like toes. All of a sudden, all of the suspects disappeared in his mind. There can only be one truth. This scale, this softness, this outline of the chest. The answer, all of a sudden, came out. After eliminating all the impossibilities, no matter how inconceivable the answer is, it is the final positive solution. This is a way of thinking that even monkeys can't get it wrong. She is the bride. He gave her soul and prayed that she would be the happiest bride in the world. The queen of Assyria, sleeping under the bloody new moon and on the throne of a giant stupid spider, the girl's body completely reproduced by him with his godlike puppeteer skill. White Moon. Yunshi smelled the familiar fragrance and murmured the real name of the perfect puppet he created. Yes, White Moon came quietly to him, held his arm tightly, and her body was almost completely attached to him. Can't sleep because of nervousness? He gently stroked White Moon's head. He didn't realize who was in his arms at the moment. He thought she was the queen of Assyria suffering from the common anxiety disorder before marriage. It doesn't matter. It's just a simple wedding. Didn't the kings marry you like this? Yes, for him, it's just a vow called wedding. He has accomplished 100% of the most important tasks that the kings need to undertake in their weddings, hasn't he? The queen is very satisfied with White Moon. He couldn't see it. When he said the word wedding, White Moon showed a jealous look and looked dismissive when he talked about kings. Dad is White Moon's dad. No one can take him away, including Mom. Even if she is the same as her mom, but she is the only soulmate who was made by her father. She has talent and characteristics that even her mother does not have. When she grows up, she will be more beautiful and perfect than her mother. So, Dad will choose her, just as if the whole world is in front of her. She will only choose Dad. For her, Dad is more important than the world. Are you satisfied with your body? Because it's a creation of his own, he didn't have any strange ideas when he held the body in his arms. Yes, I like it. White Moon was immersed in the intimate interaction with her father, making a lovely whisper. The place touched by Dad's hands is very comfortable, just like an electric current is swimming through her. The feeling of crispness and numbness spread from fingertips to toes. Even every hair is making a joyful sound. As a figure with a soul, even White Moon's hair has a sense and can be used as a weapon. This is a talent that even the Queen of Assyria does not have. Even if the Queen can perfectly synchronize with White Moon, she can't do such a thing. Very well. Your body is very special. Don't worry about if the body will become obsolete as time goes by, because your body can fix itself. This is another thing that Yun-shi should be proud of. His first puppet, perhaps because of its soul, naturally has eternal characteristics. Her body has the characteristics of moonlight branches. As long as bathed in the moonlight, it can slowly absorb the power of the moonlight, showing a warm and white luster. The body blessed by moonlight will not be weathered, eroded by microbes anywhere, or even approached by mosquitoes. Beyond the living beings of the world, White Moon was born with the characteristics of eternity. If a girl is compared to a beautiful flower, White Moon is the flower that never withers. For Yun-shi, this is the only flower in the world he cultivated, the miracle of arts. Even he himself is surprised that he made such a perfect puppet, such a miracle. When he carved White Moon's body with moonlight branches as the main material, Yun-shi even felt that he had opened a forbidden door. Well, it must be a delusion. Pafu, who slept with him, jumped on White Moon's shoulder, made an appreciative sound, and directly penetrated into the collar of White Moon's pajamas, finding the warm place to be her own bed. Is a wedding happy? White Moon gently bit Yun-shi's fingers. She likes her father's hands very much. It's the flexible fingers that created her from scratch and let her be born. From the fingertip to the finger seam, every detail of these hands is engraved on her heart, which is the memory that existed before birth, playing the magic song of the soul. If you feel happy, that will be better. Yun-shi could only avoid talking about this issue. After all, marrying a seemingly underage queen is like committing a crime. Of course, I'm very happy. White Moon's eyes were full of sadness and jealousy. She shares the same consciousness with the Queen of Assyria. She naturally knows it. The Millennium Queen, who can only wait alone under the bloody new moon, has a body that can really move in the sun, beloved and blessed. She can't give up and can't imagine the future without this hope. The Queen can't go back to the past. White Moon knows this better than anyone else. White Moon is the daughter of the Queen of Assyria and also the hope of the Queen of Assyria. White Moon, in fact, doesn't really hate the Queen. Without her, White Moon wouldn't be born into this world. If the other half of my mother is not my father, I will be my mother's lovely daughter. But that's not allowed. I won't allow it to happen. Because Dad belongs to White Moon, he is the property of White Moon. Holding Yun-shi's hands and feeling his temperature, White Moon's eyes became firmer. Anything else can be allowed, but no, only this position is absolutely not allowed to be taken away by anyone. Even if it's mom, it's the same. After coming here, hiding her identity and enjoying her father's love and gentleness, White Moon was irresistibly fond of it. Only by her father's side can her soul be sublimated. There is no need to go anywhere but here. Mom, I'm sorry. White Moon is actually a bad girl. Even if the world is used as a sacrifice, White Moon will realize her wish. Hiss, hiss, hiss. In the old secret room of kings, there was a disturbing whisper again. It was the temptation from the blood moon, a nightmare that none of the kings could escape. It hasn't given up. He listened to the melody and felt both funny and annoying. He had almost regarded it as a lullaby. Don't worry. White Moon showed a mysterious arc on the corner of her mouth, which was a very dangerous smile. She can do what her mother can do, and is better than Mom. Compared with the Queen of Assyria, her soul has a higher level. Even if she faces the abyss directly, she will only reflect the dark scenery of that abyss. When mortals, even heroes, gaze into the abyss, they are also gazed at by the abyss. However, the perfect puppet will only reflect the truth of the abyss like a mirror. The mirror will not degenerate, because the world reflected in the mirror is not real. White Moon is such a special mirror that can become the saint of light or the devil of the abyss. Because of the influence of the Queen and the nature of the Forgotten Ruins, she has begun to evolve towards the direction of the Dark Witch, but will not be eroded by the curse of the Blood Moon, and will not go on the same road as the Queen of Assyria. If we regard the power of the abyss as a virus that can erode and destroy everything, the people who accept the power will inevitably fall into the abyss themselves, just like the Queen of Assyria. However, White Moon was born with a soul and an eternal body that would not be destroyed by any curse. She can be the carrier of the abyss, but she is perfectly immune to the curse of the abyss, just like human beings who are completely immune to the virus, and is the favorite seed of the abyss. She will not be eroded by the power of abyss, nor judged as an evil unit. She is immune to all divine forces, but she can perfectly carry more abyss power than normal creatures. Her talent is so incredible. If she enters the abyss, she can become a witch who carries the fire of the abyss. If she goes to heaven and puts on the woven holy clothes, she can become the child of the glorious God of holy light. Both light and dark are optional camps for White Moon. She can even take the initiative to switch her identity between these two camps, and at the same time exist as the Dark Witch and the glorious child of God. The problem is that there is not a camp of the God of holy light in this world. Yun Shi himself is a swordsman, and his teacher is Cassina the battle god. Both of them have nothing to do with the holy light. To put it bluntly, there is only Hua Yu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, whose white golden rose bloodline has the power of the holy light. If White Moon was born in this camp, she would probably become the king of knights. Unfortunately, her mother was the Queen of Assyria who fell on the night of the Blood Moon. White Moon has mastered the secret of the Blood Moon from the moment of her birth, and is favored by the power of the abyss. He was inspired by the Queen of Assyria to create White Moon. So White Moon was born to be a child favored by the power of the abyss. As at this moment, she walked into the king's room cursed by the power of the Blood Moon without any hindrance. Compared with the Queen of Assyria who was captured by the Blood Moon, White Moon has a higher level of treatment. Her every breath and every blink of an eye after she woke up would attract the attention of the abyss. In order to lure White Moon to the abyss world, the whispers of the ancient god constantly reverberate in her soul, thousands of times stronger than that of Yun Shi's. For White Moon, who can hear these whispers all the time after her birth, this is just a lullaby that she is used to. The eternal soul never degenerates because of these whispers. White Moon was born with the gift of the Abyss Walker. She steps into the abyss, into nightmares, but will not be swallowed by the abyss and the nightmares. On the contrary, the abyss will open the door for her, and the king of nightmares will smile for this eternal flower. This is the most precious gift he gave to White Moon. If you really want me to be your spokesperson, at a realm that he couldn't perceive, White Moon was in some crucial negotiation with the endless darkness around him. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A blood moon rose from the dark abyss, which was the root of the fall of the Queen of Assyria, the one behind all the miseries of the world's historical trajectory. For White Moon, the Blood Moon even came to this world with parts of its power. It is the king of the abyss. It's the monarch of the nightmare world. In different worlds, it has different names. Some people regard it as a shortcut to the root, sacrificing millions of creatures just to let it come to the world. Some people worship it and praise it as an ancient moon god. Every blood moon day is the biggest sacrifice. In the endless years, it has long been one of the biggest mysteries. Human beings cannot even say its real name, or even see its real body. Only a very few chosen sons can accept its power, just like the Queen of Assyria. They can still keep a clear mind and not go mad after degenerating. But compared with White Moon's noble soul, which never degenerates or corrodes, even the Queen of Assyria is far inferior to her. It is waiting for a historic moment. It will satisfy White Moon's wishes, no matter how capricious those wishes are. My condition is, let Dad and I love each other. White Moon gazed at the Blood Moon, the ruler of the abyss, one of the kings of nightmares, and said her wish. Gee. The huge Blood Moon showed a very strange shape, looking like a flattened potato. Tea morning, strange ceiling, warm big bed. The Queen of Assyria opened her dim eyes as if she had not recovered from her brief sleep. For the Queen, it's too luxurious to sleep comfortably, or even to dream. From the moment she fell into the Blood Moon, there was only cold, dark, and sinking abyss with the Queen. In order to fight against the endless darkness, she entered long sleeps over and over again. Even so, she cannot avoid the cold abyss. The Queen's dream has always been a nightmare. Every time she opened her eyes, she saw only that round Blood Moon. Time has been frozen forever in the Queen's body. Until now. Good morning. She stretched out and kissed the bride beside him on the forehead. Ah, isn't it a dream? The Queen's little face turned red. Since when did the nightmare disappear? Open her eyes and see the familiar face and feel the warmth. Happiness is a too intoxicating poison. She had only come out of the underground lake one day and one night. But the Queen of Assyria could not imagine what would happen if she returned to the darkness again. Come to the sunshine world. Have the body that can move freely, be watched by people, can smile and run freely. For ordinary people, they are things that they have long been used to, but for the Queen, they are so luxurious. She can't go back anymore. Led by she walked out of the king's secret room and saw the first ray of sunshine. When she first saw it, she understood. Ushered in the first ray of dawn, the long night will never be forever silent. The frozen time of the past 1,000 years is not as valuable as the person who holds her hand at the moment. Guide her out of the dark. Make a perfect body for her, and will marry her at the coming wedding. Last night's memory is a little fuzzy. It seems that she was suddenly afraid of sleeping alone, and then desperate to find him, slept beside him. It's too long, too cold to sleep on the throne of the giant stupid spider. Do you want to continue that course? He felt the warmth of White Moon's small hands. He didn't know if it's his delusion. After getting up, White Moon is more beautiful than at night. It's a kind of magical charm, and it's a temptation that he can barely control himself. The thin ankle, soft neck, white skin, and the small spots looming on the chest. It's just a 12-year-old girl's figure. How can it be so alluring? Well, there's a lot more to learn. The Queen of Assyria lowered her head. When she was fully awake, she was almost too shy to look at his face. It's not in line with the rules of a lady to sleep together at night before the wedding. In her mind, it seems that there are two little people arguing fiercely. We are going to get married soon. It doesn't matter even if we sleep together, is the explanation of the seductive little black person. No, how can an unmarried lady do such shameless things? She has to wait for the wedding night to do it. This is the point of view of the upright little white person. You're such a duplicitous guy. You want it, just like I want it, don't you? The little black person shouted in anger. Everything needs rules. Attacking at night is not a lady's etiquette. The little white person didn't give in. So, as long as you get married, you can kiss him in the daytime or at night, in the bedroom or in the living room, indoors or in the wild. The black villain shows a sly smile. Well, that makes sense. Okay. The little white angel hesitated and nodded her head in agreement. He. The black villain representing desire shows a triumphant smile. Even so, we still have to abide by the pre-marriage etiquette. We can't come here before the wedding night, said the little white angel. Then, the two sides reached an agreement, reconciled, and began to seriously discuss what kind of posture the prince would like. In yesterday's lesson, the little black person preferred the posture on the top, while the little white person preferred the posture on the bottom. Black is a bold and unrestrained color, like get happiness from an attack. White is a sacred and quiet color, likes to cooperate with each other to get happiness. Both black and white like Yunshi and are looking forward to the wedding night. Whoa. Finding that her mind was full of new knowledge learned in the bride course, the queen waved her hands in panic. "What's the matter?" He looked at the queen of Assyria, who blushed like a small red apple. I went to class." At last, the queen of Assyria couldn't look at Yunshi's face anymore. After breaking free of his hand, she trotted away. The shy and lovely expression was just like a little white rabbit who had just escaped from the big gray wolf's mouth. "It's hard to guess the girl's mind," he sighed and decided to go out for a walk. Today is the last day of his freedom. Starting tomorrow, he and the queen of Assyria will have to start preparing for the wedding. The day after tomorrow, they will have to carry out the pledge. Yunshi can't imagine how he put on the wedding ring. When he thinks about the scene, he felt as if he was going to commit a crime. Go outside and have a look around. While it's your last few times of freedom. By the way, I also need to know how the wedding will affect the kingdom. In order to fight against the dragon, we have to do more preparations. Yunshi did not forget what the main task of this trial was. Put on the cloak which is often used by the desert tribe and hide his face under the hood of the cloak. Yunshi secretly left the palace. The streets were full of crowds. To celebrate the prince's wedding, our clothes are all 20% off, 20% off, 40% off, 40% off. Our gem is the best. 50% off. Welcome to Sam's weapons store. The merchants along the street shouted louder and louder and put out all the good goods they have. Come on, come on. Guests from afar. Beer is free, all free. Bread, hot bread. The first 100 are free. Juice, free juice. Normally, this scene could only be seen in the period of the moonlight ceremony. During the moonlight ceremony, even the most humble beggars in the city were able to eat and drink for free every day, and they would not be driven out even if they were drunk. Each king would only hold one such ceremony. In this way, people commemorate the lost king and warmly welcome the birth of the new king. Now the prince who is about to ascend the throne is known as a rare genius. He led the Starwing Knights to defeat the desert dragon Zaka. The kings of the past were all knights loved by the people, and the king of this generation is no exception. People are looking forward to a brighter era. The moonlight ceremony is a festival for people to welcome the new king. From the moment when the bell rang, all the nobles and businessmen from villages and towns, as long as they were able to come to the capital, had come from all directions. On the day of the formal wedding, the city will usher in an unprecedentedly grand occasion. At this moment, the prince walking in the street saw exactly this bustling festival scenery. This is it's impossible to repent. Looking at the bustling streets, the smiles on people's faces, and the businessmen who gave free gifts everywhere, Yunshi showed a helpless expression. It is totally inconceivable that a person's marriage will have such a profound impact on the whole kingdom. Even he, who knows nothing about politics, can feel a huge power from people's eyes. That is to look forward to a new era and a new king, which represents the expectation of the whole kingdom and the imagination of a better future. People are talking about how the new king will behave when he ascends the throne, whether the dragon will be eliminated by the Starwing Knights, and which ancient family the mysterious queen comes from. They are all convinced that life will get better and better. They support the new king and warmly expect Yunshi to ascend the throne. On the wedding day, they will pay the most gorgeous salute for the birth of the king. Yunshi felt the existence of power from people's enthusiastic expression and vital eyes. Perhaps each of them has a very weak power, but just like a great many grains of sand grouped together to form a pagoda, millions of such single weak power will also form a huge power. The people's will. Yunshi can't help but think of the mysterious royal augure's predicted future. Kill the father and marry the mother, then control the power of the whole kingdom. With the power of the whole kingdom as the backing, eventually, defeat the evil dragons. In theory, the royal augur is right. Thanks to the performance of the kings, as a prince, he naturally has the legal principles and inheritance rights of the kingdom. As long as he married the queen of Assyria, he could gather the power of the whole kingdom. I didn't expect to experience another moonlight ceremony in my lifetime. The previous king has lived a long life. It seems that he is the longest reigning king of all generations. Let's drink to this good king. Yes, to the present prince, to the new king. Hearing countless similar voices, he had a deeper understanding of the traditions and customs of this kingdom. Therefore, when Yunshi heard a voice, he couldn't help but be stunned. Well, it's just a fool with a short life. It was a voice of gnashing the teeth, which seemed out of place in the street full of singing about the wedding. That person is. He looked at the figure. It's a girl wearing a desert tribal cloak like himself, and she exuded the kind of breath that reviled one to get closer to her. She is very strong. He instinctively realized that the girl was different from everyone around her. She just stood there, and the people around her could not help but divide into two parts. No one could get close to her field. Like the mighty boulder in the torrent, like the blade that separates the sea, she stood proudly in the crowd, but no one could approach her. There is no doubt that she is very strong, far superior to ordinary people. A mysterious and powerful girl? He immediately felt interested. Why does he have no impression of such a strong girl? She is not a member of the Starwing Knights, nor is she any strong person in the record of the kingdom. She is perhaps one of the strongest people Yunshi met in this trial. Her brown skin reminded Yunshi of his teacher, Cassina the battle god. Indeed, teacher Cassina was born in a desert tribe. It's said that she is the princess of a tribe. Of course, as the battle god and one of the sky swords, such an identity is not worth mentioning to her. From the mysterious girl, he smelled the desert. Well, since I will fight against the dragon as the king, it is also one of the king's missions to gather all the strength in the kingdom. I should try to talk to her. Yunshi took a deep breath. At that moment when Yunshi walked to the girl immediately noticed his presence and revealed her small dragon tooth. There is mutual induction between monsters. In the past, although Yunshi had possessed the special ability of the seed system, he could not accurately understand his combat power level due to the short cultivation time. One of the most important factors is that his reference objects are too abnormal. The twin witches, White Lotus and Red Lotus. His childhood sweetheart, Hua Hua. Yun, who holds their seeds, instinctively takes them as the reference of his own strength. As a result, he greatly underestimated his own strength. It was not until the battle with the degenerated king forced him into a desperate situation that he had to break through and liberated the sky-flying sword that he finally made a little affirmation. I'm not weak. Although I can't compare with Hua Hua, White Lotus, and Red Lotus, I can catch up with them at least. Oh, it seems that human beings are not all insects. He felt the power of the mysterious girl. The mysterious girl also felt the power of Yunshi not far away. Now he doesn't have the ability to restrain his breath. He didn't have time to understand the method of astringent breath engraved in the battle god seed. Two monsters met in the flowing street. They were surrounded by people, but people subconsciously took a detour around them. Wearing the same cape of the desert tribe and having the same powerful breath, there is no doubt that these two people are the same kind or even related by blood in other people's eyes. Of course, this is a big mistake. The girl's pupil began to change, and the camouflage was removed. It was a kind of palpitating vertical pupil, just like the eyes of some large predator. Dangerous and beautiful. This is his feeling for the girl in front of his eyes. Compared with teacher Cassina, this young girl presents a more vicious atmosphere. Do you want to have a fight? The mysterious girl twisted her neck and licked her lips. Now, let's kill. Her blood is boiling. The dragon's blood is making a warlike sound. Yes, her real body is the dragon that ravages the world. The desert dragon Zaka, one of the 4 dragon shadows. She came to kill and destroy, and was ready to take revenge on the Starwing Knights and the prince who forced her to retreat. In order to achieve unexpected results, she turned into a human, put on a cloak to hide her identity, and came to the human city. The plan is very simple. Wait for the prince to get married. At that time, he will show himself, and she will destroy everything and massacre all the human knights. Blood for blood. She wants the prince to know the price of provoking her. Yes, but not here. Let's go out of the city. He looked at the mysterious girl with a little excitement. After defeating the degenerated king, he is also eager to know his own strength. It's like a kid who gets a new toy for the first time. Anyway, it's a world of trial. Let's fight. Great. Desert Dragon Zaka nodded happily. One-on-one. That's the dragon rule. That despicable prince doesn't have the courage to fight with her one-on-one, so she is so disdainful of him. Force may not solve all problems, but it can solve your opponent. When you have solved all your opponents, the problem will not be a problem. Well, this is the simple outlook on life in the world of Desert Dragon Zaka. It is also a rule that many dragons are used to. About 20 kilometers away from the city, in the Grand Canyon, Yunshi took a deep breath to stabilize his heart rate. The little battle god's seed slowly contracted and expanded in his body, releasing the strengthened energy. The battle god seed can store, compress, and strengthen his power. It is like a huge engine running in Yunshi's body, delivering power to him all the time. This engine is almost perfect, and there is only a little small problem. Well, it's not a big problem, because it will only arouse the emotions in his heart, making him more aggressive. Feeling the expanding power in his body, Yunshi's eyes began to burn with flames. Since acquiring the battle god seed, he has always been bothered by the excess energy. There are not so many places in the world to release the pressure. Fortunately, there is the trial world, where he can act without thinking about the consequences. Nothing in this world is true. Good. Desert Dragon Zaka also wants to vent her pressure. One side is the prince who just broke through his combat power limit and got his own god weapon. The other side is the dragon who is preparing to make a comeback and complete revenge. Prince versus the evil dragon. The second round, start. I will show you what the real rage is. Zaka licked her lips, and the dust began to swirl under her feet. In the Grand Canyon, the temperature rose at an amazing speed. As expected, she is very strong. Yunshi felt as if he wasn't facing a girl but facing a huge monster. Stimulated by the battle god's seed in his body temperature was also rising, and the huge blood force was running and roaring in his body like mountain torrents. Now, even if he wanted to stop, he can't do it. Once this combat is started, there must be a winner and a loser. Be careful not to be run over by me, Desert Dragon Zaka sneered. The dragon's attack has always been stronger, and stronger. Even if she becomes a human, Desert Dragon Zaka is also a dragon. Her strength won't be weakened by this. There was a trace of gravel on the ground. Desert Dragon Zaka raised her slender finger and made a distant stroke towards him. Boom! A huge finger mark of more than 10 meters long exploded in front of him, which is a strike containing the power of Dragon Claw. If he was a common hero-ranked fighter, he would have been torn to pieces. Yunshi's fearless boxing shows the bullying characteristics of the hard body. You are strong? I'm stronger. No matter what kind of attack she uses, he will fight back. This is the essence of the hard body. On the red ground, a punch with a depth of up to 10 meters was blasted, which was the most favorable reply of his to the provocation of Desert Dragon Zaka. Controlling the consumption to the most accurate level is also the talent given by the battle god to Yunshi. Oh, my feeling is right. Desert Dragon Zaka was satisfied to see that he didn't even step back. Dragon Mother, this opponent is worth a fight. Click. After releasing the most powerful fist in his life, he stepped forward and his blood became more restless. The battle god's seed runs faster in his body, releasing a steady stream of explosive power. Speed up, speed up, speed up, break out, break out, break out again, releasing the power of the hard body. Just like the sound of thunder, he rushed to Desert Dragon Zaka in an instant, and gave Zaka a left to right spin kick, which hit her arm firmly. The intense collision of the hard body and the body. The dragon body and the hard body face to face. The powers of both sides surprised each other. How can it be so hard? It's even harder than the degenerated king's armor. Yunshi, is he really a human being? Is this guy also the incarnation of some kind of monster? Desert Dragon Zaka. With her arms raised, Zaka bounced his feet back. In terms of strength, maybe I'm a little weaker than her. He was surprised to find that there is actually a girl whose own physical strength is not inferior to the hard body. However, the gap is still within an acceptable range. This gap in power can be made up through combat techniques. Taking back his right leg, Yunshi gathered his whole body's strength into his shoulders and hit Desert Dragon Zaka's body heavily. Hard strike. The girl's strength is even stronger than his, but it seems that she is not used to close combat, which has become her weakness in his eyes. Jie. Desert Dragon Zaka had never fought close combat with her opponent at this distance. Her whole body was knocked back several steps. What a shame. As a giant dragon, she was knocked back by a human. Although she is in her human shape now, her strength is still a 50-meter-long dragon strength. Is this guy's real body a 50-meter-tall giant? After breaking her balance, he swept her feet without hesitation. After that, he grabbed Zaka's body as soon as she fell to the ground due to her balance breaking. In the next moment, a column of black ash and steam rose over the canyon, which was the trace of him dragging Zaka's body forward and tearing the earth. Boom, boom, boom. As if there were thunder falling, it was the roar of wild thunder. With each step, his speed will be faster and faster. This is a skill that can only be formed by the perfect combination of speed, strength, and skill. Boom. Desert Dragon Zaka's body was swung and hit hard into the front of the cliff at the end of the canyon. The solid cliff was torn apart by her. Countless boulders rolled and fell from the top of the cliff. The mountains are falling apart. This is the scenery at this moment. Different from the long-distance attack skill, Thunder Explode, this is another hard-body secret skill with a different style, which is a ground-throwing skill used to completely suppress and smash the opponent Thunderwalk. The 1-kilometer-long track runs through the whole canyon, which is the mark left by Yunshi after launching this secret skill. The longer he drags his opponent, the more powerful the final impact will be. The greater the opponent's resistance is, the stronger the strength of being torn apart is. Borrow the strength of the opponent and launch a deadly strike. This is the most terrible point of this secret skill. Fast as the wind, wild like thunder. Its origin is the terrifying thunder monster who only appeared on the night of thunderstorms. People saw its trace left on the ground and imitated it, creating this skill. So it's called Thunderwalk. It's a unique skill that can only be used by the masters of the Red Steel genre. After performing this secret skill, Yunshi breathed heavily, and the compressed air in his lungs was released. Concentrate on it. Gallop on the earth like a running thunder beast. Compared with the Thunder Explosion, which is a long-range attack, the Thunder Walk tests the strength and explosive power of the body and has a stronger suppression effect on the enemy. Destroy the opponent's resistance with crushing momentum. If you want to use it, you have to be crazy. Ka. Under the ruins of the cliff, which was smashed by him, the earth and the mountains shook, as if there were some huge things turning over, releasing a dangerous atmosphere that can make people tremble. Erf. That's the roar of Desert Dragon Zaka. That's the roar of the soul-frightening dragon. The small mountain piled up with gravel was shaking violently, and a human figure rose to the sky. Her clothes were ragged clothes. Her arms and long legs were exposed in the air. Obviously, she was dragged for such a long distance, but there were still no scars on the sandy brown skin. You did well, it hurt me. Zaka simply pulled off her cape hood and showed her true face. She had a long pigtail that looked like a dragon's horn and a pair of long, pointed ears. No matter the color of hair or the color of the eyes, they look like the color of endless yellow sand. This is the human posture of Desert Dragon Zaka, the overlord of the desert. It is worth noting that her hands were covered with a pair of black claws. The sharp claw shapes are just as ferocious as dragon claws. A pair of god weapons? The moment he noticed the black claws, his instinct warned him. It's a pair of good weapons that can tear up his body easily. He must pay attention to them. In addition to the claws, Zaka carried a long black sword behind her. The body of the sword was like a huge section of deformed steel, and it also bifurcates a secondary edge which looked like a dragon's horn. The hilt of the sword is inlaid with a yellow pearl of the same color as her eyes and hair, in which he could see the reflection of endless sandstorms faintly. Just looking at the sword, Yuanshi can judge that it is a higher level of god weapon than the degenerated king's black flame sword. The level of the girl in front of him is far higher than that of the degenerated king. Even if the king burns himself to ashes, he can't be a match for her. The fight just now can't even be called a warm-up for her. Sure enough, even if he can use the power of the battle god seed, he has just stepped into the threshold of the hero rank. Even a random girl he met in the street is so powerful. It's your turn. At this moment, Zaka was already out of anger. At her feet, countless sand gathered to wrap her body, and in an instant, a yellow sand giant of more than 10 meters tall was assembled. Then, imitating his move, she ran into him recklessly. There is no skill to speak of, and is not at the same level as Yuanshi's Thunderwalk at all. However, after gaining hundreds of times of weight, Zaka becomes a desert giant. Even just her moving is equivalent to a small natural disaster. Yuanshi blew and bombarded the body of the yellow sand giant, only scattering about 1/10 of its surface shell. Then he was pushed back by Desert Dragon Zaka. Boom! The scene just now was almost exactly replayed at this moment. He was overwhelmed by the huge power, and he could hardly use any skills in this situation. Once again, he felt a total suppression. Fortunately, Zaka's head doesn't seem to be smart. She doesn't calculate the route at all, and pushed him by brute force. It's not the same thing at all as Yushi's Thunderwalk. Boom, boom, boom. He continuously punched and bombarded the yellow sand giant's body. No use, no use, no use. Zaka shouted excitedly. The power of gathering dust is Zaka's natural ability. No matter how many times he attacked the sand, it was useless. I can't break it. Yuanshi also realized this. Bright red blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth, which was a sign of visceral injury. Zaka's power is not something that the human body can resist. It is just like the brute force of natural disasters. Only the same force of natural disasters can fight against it. The force leads to the river of endless time, beyond the power of the world. Star Wings. In response to his voice, the shadow of the god sword appeared in his hands. What's that? The moment Star Wings appeared, Desert Dragon Zaka felt a great crisis for the first time. That sword is not right. It's too weird. On the transparent sword body, what emerges is a color that can't be described by words. When the blazing blade tearing the barriers of time and space and coming to the world, something ineffable seems to have also been summoned. In the flying wings, Yuanshi waved his sword at Zaka. The giant's gravel shell was torn like paper before the airflow released by Star Wings. Spread out the transparent wings. The birds coming from the long river of the time rushed to hit Zaka's body and then burst. Even Zaka's strong body can't stop the penetration of the indescribable force, and she instantly felt the fatal crisis. The yellow sand giant didn't last for 3 seconds. It soon disintegrated and revealed the real body of Desert Dragon Zaka inside. Impossible! Zaka screamed and her right hand stretched back, trying to pull out the spiral sword engraved with dust beads. Don't imagine that it is possible. Yuanshi realized that there might be some terrible power hidden in the sword. He wouldn't give her the chance to use it. Before Zaka pulled out the sword, he had grabbed her right hand. Her weakness is close combat, which is the flaw he detected after the fight. Although he wondered why her physical strength is so strong, her weak point is her close combat technology. He didn't hesitate to take advantage of it. Without giving Zaka any chance to touch the sword behind her, Yuanshi gave up the chance to use Star Wings to attack her, but turned her right hand over and then crushed her to the ground. For ordinary people, this joint skill has already announced her defeat. But Zaka's body structure is obviously abnormal. Her right hand joint was turned over and even made a chilling sound, but she didn't want to give up. She gave her left hand a full blow to the ground and started to roll on the ground. Yuanshi didn't expect this. Rolling in this situation. Does she really want to lose her right hand? What's more, how can her rolling be so skillful? With a roar, Desert Dragon Zaka rolled into the deep of the canyon with Yuanshi. For the first time encountering such a move, Yuanshi grabbed Zaka's right hand and grabbed her neck and entangled her legs with his legs. Even so, he still couldn't prevent Zaka's crazy rolling. Even though her whole body can move freely with only the left hand, her rolling is still powerful and crazy. In the whirling of the sky and the earth, Yuanshi was also rolled with her. If it wasn't because of his hard body, maybe he would be killed by her rolling. Desert Dragon Zaka wants to turn the balance, so she rolls continuously. Yuanshi must continue to suppress the opponent, so he can only roll together with her. One person rolling becomes two people's rolling. Boom! The gravel hill was knocked over by them. Bang! One side of the canyon was run over by the two people. It's no use to lock her throat? He silently looked at Zaka's neck, which looked so thin, but felt like a giant dragon's neck when he tried to choke her. It's totally wrong. Hey! Looking at the hand on his neck, Zaka opened her mouth and bit down. No human can withstand the bite of a dragon's tooth. Unfortunately, she forgot one thing. She is in her human shape. It's impossible for human beings to bite the part under their neck. It goes against the limit of human structure. So, she just bit the air, plus her own tongue. Gawai. Zaka gave a scream. For the first time, she was bleeding in this battle. No way to choke her. I have to fight. He had to give up his plan of choking her. He waved his fist and smashed it on her head. Bang! The effect is immediate. Although Zaka's physical strength is powerful, her head, to be exact, the part inside the head is not so invincible. She felt a sharp pain on her head, and her sight became dizzy. It's effective. He kept smashing after realizing it. Her sense of direction was totally confused, and she crazily rolled in all directions on the ground. They broke through the cliff of the canyon and rolled away into the distance. Bang! 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 A quarter of an hour later, with a crash, and the couple fell into the water together. Water! Zaka made a scream, and the strength of her rolling was greatly reduced. Plus the 1,356th blow from Yuanshi, she finally fainted. Desert Dragon Zaka is not good at fighting in water, which is a secret that no one knows. After all, she is Desert Dragon Zaka, not Water Dragon Zaka. There is no way to breathe in the water. How can there be creatures living in the water? Zaka totally doesn't understand this. The invincible Desert Dragon Zaka on the land is actually a landlubber in the water. Guru. Although Yuanshi was exhausted, he still dragged Zaka's body when he climbed up from the river. So hard. This is his deepest impression of the girl's head. His fists were swollen, and he still hadn't defeated the mysterious girl. If she didn't faint in the water, he had no way to win. He even doubted whether he was cursed and his attack power had been weakened by 99%. Yuanshi tentatively punched the river in front of him. Boom! The huge river was cut off halfway, and even some areas had been turned back. This is the power of the hard body, which is as unstoppable as thunder. Oh, my attack isn't weakened. Yuanshi looked at his fist and the mysterious girl's head. He really admired the defense of her head. If he didn't use his god weapon, Star Wings, he was afraid that even if she let him punch her, he couldn't beat her to death. What an amazing vitality this is. Fortunately, she didn't pull out the sword in the end. Otherwise, she may really be able to defeat him. Hiss. After the battle, Yuanshi looked at his ragged clothes and took a breath. His whole body was bruised, and there were many small scratches all over his body, as if he had been gnawed by countless ants. If he didn't have the hard body, he probably would have been crushed to pieces by this seemingly petite girl. In her seemingly weak body, there is the power of a monster. If there is no such weakness as drowning, she can probably roll on to the other side of the horizon. What a monster! He reached out and pinched the little face of the unconscious girl. Soft and elastic, it's hard to imagine that this is a body that can withstand 1,000 punches of his. Maybe soft water palm could be more effective? But in the fierce battle, Yuanshi didn't have any chance to switch from hard body to the soft body. What's more, if he didn't use the hard body, just the rolling would have killed him. Beautiful and powerful. Small and dangerous. This is Yuanshi's impression of Desert Dragon Zaka, and it also makes him misunderstand the combat effectiveness of the hero rank. Even the degenerated king was extremely difficult to deal with. The mysterious girl in front of him can withstand the punch from a hard body for over 1,000 times. As for the Queen of Assyria, she could kill him thousands of times. Well, sure enough, he is still weak and needs to work harder. Well, let's have pity for the prince. Purr, purr, purr. Being surrounded by endless blisters, the feeling that the body is bound and unable to move, the feeling of falling into the endless abyss. This is the most frightening scene and the last scene desert dragon Zaka wants to see. There are oases in the desert, but for Zaka, whose body is more than 50 meters long, those water sources can't even soak her knee. For her, the water source in the oasis is not even a puddle. The feeling of being immersed in the deep water, the despair of unable to move and breathe are the real reasons Zaka feels despair. She can't swim, and once she enters the water, she will lose the support of the earth's power. Deep water is the weakest place for her. Even if she is a giant dragon, she also needs to breathe. It may sound like a joke, but it's really a small probability that a dragon would be drowned. When Zaka opened her eyes and saw the sun again, she even began to feel lucky. Great. It's not underwater. If she became the first desert dragon drowned in the water, it's the worst thing she could imagine. Compared with the result of drowning, it is acceptable to be defeated by the opponent. You are very strong. Looking at Yun Shi, who was roasting fish by the river with his upper body bared, Zaka stretched out and didn't mean to launch another attack. She lost. The other side did not use intrigue, and there was no trap. Although she didn't use her strongest trump card, the other side also didn't use his god weapon. It's a one-on-one fight. It's something that she likes. It's the first time in her life that someone could roll with her for so long and so far. This is the fight she likes. It's a hot one-on-one fight. Yes, Desert Dragon Zaka recognized this defeat and even began to look forward to the next battle. If you want to be friends with a dragon, don't try to build a friendship or show your kindness. Only when you have the same strength as the dragon can you have the right to communicate with the dragon. Zaka didn't mind human beings at all. In her eyes, humans are just like the small insects in the desert, not worth mentioning. Human beings don't feel guilty because they run over small insects, and giant dragons don't feel guilty because they trample on human beings. You are a monster. Obviously, Yunshi won. But looking at the small wounds all over his body, as well as the backache of exhausting physical strength, he didn't show any arrogance as the winner. Yes, I am a monster. Zaka didn't take it for granted. She's a dragon that ravages the mainland. Naturally, she is a monster. Are you human? Desert Dragon Zaka approached Yun Shi and smelled his body. How can he be so strong? It is impossible for a weak human to have his abilities and physical strength. Yes, I am a pure human. 100%. Yun Shi did not have the consciousness to become a monster and also greatly underestimated the power of his hard body. Don't pretend. If you are not a monster, there are no monsters in the world. With a look of contempt, Desert Dragon Zaka snatched the baked fish from Yun Shi. It tastes good. Wearing his tattered clothes, Zaka cheered. Even though she is afraid of drowning, Desert Dragon Zaka doesn't mind eating fish. Rather, because she doesn't like water, she prefers to eat aquatic products, especially some species in the deep sea. For example, squid, and squid. Tell me, what do you want? After eating all the fish she grilled, Zaka wiped her mouth and said in a natural tone, "The competition between the dragon and the dragon is bound to decide the winner and the loser. The winner has the right to make any demands on the loser, and the loser can only accept these demands unconditionally. Most of the time, the winner's requirements are wealth, territory, and so on, and a few of them are other requirements. The winner is the king, which is the general rule of the dragon race. It is also the rule that is true in the entire endless gods' domains. The winner gets everything, and the loser loses everything. Human rights? Morality? The dragons don't mind it. If you want to be a dragon knight, you have to have the ability to defeat a dragon. Otherwise, the proud dragons will never let people ride on themselves. The so-called dragon knights in the endless gods' domains are mostly subspecies such as earth dragons, and bipedal flying dragons. Those who can really obtain a giant dragon as a mount are monsters in the hero rank. Desert Dragon Zaka is a powerful dragon bred by the real original dragon, the disaster dragon in the desert field. Yunshi defeated her in a one-on-one battle, which means he has the qualification to become a real dragon knight. Even in all the endless gods' domains, this achievement is enough to be epic. Unfortunately, he didn't realize this at all. He thought that he was just lucky enough to win. What do I want? She looked blank at her. He just wanted to verify his combat power after obtaining Star Wings. I didn't think about any spoils from the beginning. Don't go too far. I'll give you half of my treasure at most. For Desert Dragon Zaka, the treasure collected from the whole continent is her most precious treasure. No matter what dragon it is, from the weakest white dragon to Yasha the dragon god, dragons like all kinds of precious treasures. Diamond, gold, emerald, ruby, sapphire. A human's god weapon, the essence of stars, all kinds of legacy of mysterious power. The dragon race has a natural habit of collecting these treasures, which is an incurable habit. Only the good dragons will collect these treasures by proper means, while the evil dragons will rob them by any means. There is no doubt that Zaka is an evil dragon. When she sees something she likes, she will steal it. This is her nature. Anyway, human beings in her eyes are ants. Do you feel guilty for robbing the gem in the ant nest? I don't need treasure. He shook his head. He didn't know how rich the girl in front of him was, but he didn't lack money. Well, at least in this trial world, he is not short of money. Then, do you want my land? My territory can be divided into half of yours. She frowned and began to talk reluctantly. Her territory has now occupied about a third of the continent. There may be more gems in her territory than in her treasury, but they have not been discovered. However, the short-lived species do not have the time to excavate minerals and collect gems slowly. Only long-life beings like her can enjoy the process of digging gems. No need. She shook his head. He is about to ascend the throne. How can he rob a girl's money and territory? Why? You want none of them? For Zaka, this is a very novel experience. Amongst dragons, apart from treasure and territory, what can be the reason for fighting? Her face suddenly turned red. Do you want to? From the dragon's way of thinking, no treasure, no territory, then his intention is, do you want to marry me? Zaka stuttered and looked at him in disbelief. The male announced his power to the female, indicating that he had the ability to breed excellent offspring with the female, and had the ability to protect the wealth and territory of both sides. This is the general marriage proposal method of the dragon race. However, the only problem is that most of the time, males can't beat females. Because of the preference of Yasha, the dragon god, most of the female dragons in the endless gods' domains are stronger than the males. If a male dragon wants to propose to a female dragon by force, the success rate will not be even 1,000th. The male dragon is more likely to be favored by the female dragon by showing his wealth and territory. Shi beat Desert Dragon Zaka and showed his talent and fighting ability. If he is a dragon, he really has the qualification to propose to her. Get married. He can't help but smile bitterly. He is going to get married. Yes, but he is targeting the terrible queen of Assyria. Unfortunately, his wry smile is regarded as the smile of acquiescence in Zaka's eyes. Well, Zaka looked left and right, and then seriously thought about whether to accept his proposal. Probably from birth to now, Desert Dragon Zaka has never had such a complex thought. The temperature of her forehead began to rise in a straight line, and all of them produced steam on her head that could be recognized by the naked eye. Well, power, good. Physical fitness, also good. The fighting skill, in terms of human beings, is absolutely outstanding and superb. Not everyone dares to fight with the dragon. Lifestyle. It seems that the style of his clothes doesn't look bad. But isn't it too fast to propose now? They just met each other not long ago. Even the dragon wants to be concerned with love and romance. Love at first sight. Will it really happen in the real world? With the poor thinking ability of Zaka, it is beyond her comprehension. Don't get me wrong, we can't get married. Looking at Desert Dragon Zaka, Yunshi quickly explained. This is the trial world, not a place to talk about love. The wedding with the Queen of Assyria is only a ceremony, at least, Yunshi thinks so. Then what do you want? She became more confused. He doesn't want territory, treasure, nor proposal. So why did he fight? I don't want any spoils. He sighs helplessly as he looks at Zaka's confused face. Which isolated tribe is this girl from? She is too lacking in some common sense. Then, stay with me for a day. This is the booty I want. He shrugged his shoulders and set a condition that anyone could simply do. I see. I will stay with you for a day. Her little face turned red instantly as if she misunderstood something. Well, that's good. Yunshi thought it was over, and the other side was really a sensible girl. Yes, it's too urgent to propose at the beginning. It's better to start with a date. Zaka looked at him with expectations. Well, it's a little misunderstanding, based on the difference between the morality of the dragons and that of human beings. After buying 2 sets of almost identical desert-style cloaks, he and Zaka once again stepped into the city. Haha. She accepted his invitation and put on the desert-style cloak, then smiled like a child. Isn't this the legendary couple outfit? Well, sure enough, they have a good understanding. This is the first step of a perfect date. He didn't think so much about it. He chose this kind of cloak just because it can hide his identity. 2 people walk together in the street, and the people around will subconsciously separate the way for the 2 monsters. Why did you come to the capital? He asked her with curiosity. I'm for the prince. Zaka bit her tongue. She almost exposed that her intention was to destroy the city. Well, for the sake of the person beside her, she decided to forgive the ants in the city generously. But the prince must die. My sisters have some interest in the prince. Oh, what a perfect topic shift. She cheered for her wit. Your sisters are interested in the prince? She had an odd look on his face. Yes, they are all interested in the prince and are ready to have a warm exchange with him. It's mainly the interest of killing that prince thousands of times. Haha, it's a perfect excuse. In fact, the king is very popular. Zaka licked her lips. For thousands of years, the prince was the first person who dared to break into the dragon's nest. Are you interested in the prince, too? His mouth was twisted. Sometimes, it's not a good thing that he is so popular. Has his reputation already spread to the isolated desert tribe? Well, I'm interested. There was a dangerous light in the eyes of Desert Dragon Zaka. If that prince comes to my house, he will be treated with the highest hospitality. She was full of malice. Do you really like the prince so much? Yunshi looked at Zaka with a strange look. If her sisters are all monsters like her, they may have the power to fight against the dragon with him. Of course, I like him very much. Zaka showed her tiny fangs. As long as the prince dares to come to the dragon's nest. Oh, she hasn't decided whether she should steam him, fry him, or eat him with sauce. Somehow, Yunshi suddenly had a cold wind behind her. He looked around doubtfully and found no abnormality. However, he understood that the girl beside him was admiring the prince very much. From his point of view, this is just the fantasy of the innocent girl to the so-called Prince Charming. His identity as a prince is purely set by the world background. He didn't learn any royal etiquette or have special charming abilities. In fact, he was just the owner of a bakery a few months ago. Sorry, I'm not the Prince Charming you imagined. He said sorry to the girls in his heart. After that, he and Zaka began to visit the city. What's that? It looks delicious. How can I eat this fruit? Whoa, it's delicious. I remember it. This food is called ice cream. The tour with Desert Dragon Zaka can be summed up in 3 words. Eat, eat, eat. She watched Zaka sweep away a lot of barbecues and fruits. Calculating the amount of food she ate, the size of the food she had eaten is already more than her body size. How can she eat so much food? Is her stomach linking with a black hole? Sitting on Zaka's opposite side, he seriously pondered the mystery. After finishing half of the 8th ice cream, she noticed her image. Give you half. In a hurry, she picked up the spoon and sent half of the remaining ice cream to his mouth. Yuanxi ate this scoop of ice cream that Zaka sent to his mouth. Vanilla, sweet taste. Well, that should be enough. After feeding him 3 spoons of ice cream, she continued to enjoy the rest with satisfaction. Well, she seemed to forget that all the food was bought by Yuanxi. However, that kind of silly and lovely appearance also makes him feel relaxed. Contrary to her strong power, Zaka's character is imprudent. This time with her is like walking with a curious dog, full of joy. In the Starwing Nights, there is also such a bold girl who is always imprudent. Ling Ling, the secretary of the Starwing Knights. However, compared with Ling Ling, Zaka gave Yuanxi a kind of non-human feeling, and she has monster-like strength. Apart from him, she doesn't look at anyone as if they are just ants. Proud and pure, reckless and dangerous. Her eyes are full of inhumane atmosphere, but when she ate ice cream, her eyes squinted with sweet happiness as if they were going to melt. She's so lovely. He looked at Zaka, who was eating the 10th ice cream, and smiled. When he stayed with her, all the pressures and troubles flapped away from his heart. He has been missing this feeling for a long time. By the way, her feelings for Yuanxi are similar to his first love, his invincible childhood sweetheart, Hua Hua. If Hua Hua didn't meet him in her childhood, maybe her temperament will also be the same as Zaka's. Looking at her, he seems to see another possible posture of Hua Hua in the parallel world. It's really strange. It's their first time for them to meet, but just watching her eating ice cream like this could make him feel happy. At the same time, Zaka's angel, ice cream is delicious. It's amazing that such wonderful food was invented by human beings. I just wanted to have a big fight at this prince's wedding. If I could kill the prince, it would be better. Now it seems that I need to add another goal. Eat enough. Well, for the sake of those human beings who can make such wonderful food, I may need to recruit some human beings to make delicious food for me every day. Strange. Why does he look at me like this? What's strange about the way I eat? I just ate such little food. Isn't he out of money? She licked her lips and tentatively asked Yuanxi, I can pay if you don't have enough money. No, I just think you look lovely when you eat ice cream, he replied with a smile. In this world, money is just a number for him. He never needs to worry about this in this trial world. Okay, let's eat. She ordered a lot more ice cream, smiling happily. It took about a minute before she realized what he had said. Lovely. Is that about her? The Tyrannosaurus dragon, which dominates the desert and will only bring fear and despair to people. She never imagined that as a dragon, she would one day be said to be lovely. This is really too shameful. Ah, woo. The delicious ice cream has another special taste in her mouth now. It's the sour and sweet taste that she had never felt, which does not belong to any taste system. In the dragon's nest, the green light reappeared on the head of the giant dragon. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. 1 flash, 2 flash, 3 flash. It was expected to take some time to hatch the blue ice dragon egg, but now, the eggshell began to become thinner and thinner at the speed visible to the naked eye. Even the outermost part of the eggshell has begun to crack. The same changes have also occurred in the fire dragon egg and the black dragon egg. Delicious! After eating about 30 ice creams, tasting all the flavors of ice cream in this shop once, Zaka finally put down the spoon with satisfaction. It's not that she can't eat anymore. Compared with her huge true body, even if she eats all the desserts in this shop, she won't even feel full. What makes her satisfied is the unforgettable taste, as well as the strange feeling of being watched by Yuanxi. In other words, it wasn't ice cream that filled her belly, but something else. Sometimes, it takes a lifetime to understand a person. Sometimes, it only needs a date in the dessert shop. It's really similar. Looking at Zaka, who was greatly satisfied by the ice cream, Yuanxi naturally came up with Hua Hua in his mind. The more he watched her, the more similarities he could find. Where to go next? She naturally extended her hand. Once she recognized each other, she would not care too much about physical contact. Let's take a walk. Yuanxi doesn't have a fixed destination either. In the end, it's just a free trip before marriage. It's a day off for him. Then go to the martial arts competition. She excitedly called out her destination this time. Martial arts competition? What is that? Yunshi knew little about this kingdom's traditions, so he asked and looked at Zaka. It's a very interesting competition. In order to celebrate the prince's wedding, all the martial artists come from all over the kingdom. Let's go. Why don't we also register and enjoy it? Beat down all the human beings in this kingdom by using her human shape. There is no more enjoyable activity than this. Hey, wait. He was pulled by her all the way to the big arena on the west side of the city. Before arriving at the arena, Yunshi heard the voices of people. Come and sign up soon. The martial arts competition will begin soon. There are many experts participating in this event. This is a once-in-a-century event. If you bet now, you'll get rich overnight. Come on, this is the latest odds. The number 1 player is Xiao Chao, deputy leader of the Starwing Knights. She is recognized as a superhero-ranked martial artist. The second most popular player is the mysterious elf mercenary, Lavluo. The third favorite is Prince Karan, the descendant of the Assyrian royal family. Although he is not the real prince, he has royal blood. Who will be the champion knight? Everything will be revealed today. Join in, let's join in, and then have a big fight. Looking at the large arena where the crowd gathered and feeling the cheers of tens of thousands of people, Desert Dragon Zaka became particularly excited. Dragons are born strong. As a strong dragon, she has the responsibility to declare her own strength. Strong. Let everyone know. Famous. In this way, many intelligent races will automatically come and pledge allegiance to the dragons. As long as you are strong enough, you can make all laws and override all laws. All the gems in her territory are hers. All the human beings in her own territory are also hers. All belong to the powerful dragon. Why does she ravage the land? Because she wants to turn the land into the territory of the dragons. The last kingdom of mankind and the witch tribe in the forest are the last 2 stones blocking the way of the dragon's conquest. Conquer these 2 stones, and the whole continent will become the kingdom of dragons. Desert Dragon Zaka will rule the desert areas in the west. Ice Dragon Zaka will become the master of the frozen earth in the north. Fire Dragon Zaka will wear the crown of the Oriental Mountains. Black Dragon Zaka will be the overlord of the marshes and the whole underground world. The 4 Zakas are the 4 heavenly kings born from the power of the original dragon and the masters of the Dragon Kingdom. Now, Desert Dragon Zaka has completed the rule of the whole western desert region, half of the eastern region, half of the southern region, and the whole northern region. On the whole continent, only the last kingdom of mankind, and some tribal areas in the southern forest area still have resistance. The age of the dragon has come. This is the general trend of the world. In the region ruled by Desert Dragon Zaka, many intelligent races have surrendered to the great original dragon and declared to be the people of the Dragon Kingdom. Desert Dragon Zaka alone almost completed 70% of the great cause of continental conquest. When the second, the third, and the fourth Zaka hatch from the eggs, dragons will rule the sky and earth. This is the era of the dragon. Human beings are going to be desperate. The dragon war has come to an end. In the eyes of Zaka, humanity's resistance is futile. If it wasn't for the prince and the Starwing Knights, a few days ago she alone could break through the capital and defeat the last kingdom among the mountains in the east. Champion Knight Competition. The one who gets this honor will become a noble recognized by the kingdom. One king will only award 1 champion knight, which is the highest honor of the knights of the kingdom. She read the rules of the competition word by word, and finally knew where the competition came from. In the tradition of the Moonlight Ceremony, the first king held a martial arts competition for knights. Later, not only knights, but also other classes could participate freely. It was the highest-level martial arts competition used by the kingdom to attract talents and declare its own force. The winner will get the honor of champion knight and become a nobleman directly. If the champion knights are willing to pledge loyalty to the king, then the champion knights will directly join the king's knights and have their own fiefdoms. If they don't want to be a knight in the army, the champion knights can get a fiefdom, but the fiefdom will be recycled by the kingdom after their death. For the knights from the royal palace, To be the champion knight is the fastest way to become the leader of the King's Knights. Half of the leaders of the King's Knights are winners of the champion knight competition. For those who like freedom, the title of champion knight also has a strong temptation, which is basically equal to being recognized by the kingdom as the strongest knight. And they can also be rewarded a fiefdom that can continuously provide benefits. As a result, the championship knight competition has become a part of the king's enthronement ceremony, which is held the day before the wedding and accepts the application of all people who think they can win. In addition to Xiao Chao, he also saw the names of many members of the Starwing Knights in the list of applicants. In addition to Huayu, who is already the leader of the Starwing Knights, it seems that most of them came to the competition. Okay, the registration is finished. With Yun, she packed into the almost impenetrable crowd. Zaka and Yun, she finally registered their names before the deadline. She and Yun, she use pseudonyms because they don't want to expose their true identities. Zaka's registered name is Zero, and the pseudonym she registered for Yun, she is Shaheen. They were common names of the desert tribes. Looking at them holding each other's hands and standing close to each other, everyone would think they are a couple in love. Even Zaka herself has this feeling. Shaheen, we must win. We will be champions. Desert Dragon Zaka proudly raised her right hand and made a gesture of V. Hey, isn't this bullying? Without god weapons, no one can even break your defense. Yun, she stared at her. It's okay. I'll control my power until we meet in the arena and have another fight. If you can still win this time. She stuck out her tongue and made a face. I will do what you ask. What will I ask? I just want you to accompany me for one day. Aren't you well done now? Yun, she looked at her, who suddenly got excited for no reason. Let's move. Our legend is about to start. Shaheen, like the hero in the books, she proudly held up her chest. The second round will start from here. Hey, who said that I will play the second round with you? Yun, she was reluctantly led by Zaka towards the preparation area of the arena. Yes, this battlefield is getting me high and getting me excited. Now, I have a feeling that I can do everything. Desert Dragon Zaka is convinced that she is invincible today. So go ahead, Zaka. This session of the Champion Knight competition was hailed as the highest level in the history of the kingdom. Xiao Chao, the most popular candidate, is recognized as the #1 in the Starwing Knights. Maybe she is inferior to Huayu in team battles, but when it comes to one-on-one combat, no one can dare to say that they are stronger than her. The second most popular candidate is Livluo, the strongest mercenary in the whole kingdom. As the only elf in this world, his strength is unpredictable. Just in time, Yunshi also knows who Livluo is. He is the beautiful elf who he once met outside the White Lotus Sword Palace, a mysterious elf from the Western God's domain. His real name? Oh, Yunshi remembered that it is Kingfisher. He's the first elf he met in the real world, who has a beauty beyond race and gender. The last one, well, Yunshi is also known. Karan, a transfer student from a remote God's domain. These three people all have the strength to become the champion knight. However, there are monsters in this championship knight competition. It's a monster that can crush everything with her physical strength. She has not even pulled out the god weapon she carries. Yunshi, just looking at her, he can almost imagine that this mysterious girl swept her opponent all the way to win the competition with overwhelming strength. As for the fact that he is also a monster, it is naturally forgotten selectively by him. In fact, it's the same as he inferred. Oh, Karan brandished his black, threaded long lance and skillfully stirred up his opponent, and then smashed his opponent to the ground. Bang! Accompanied by the sound of broken bones, this blow makes his opponent completely lose his combat effectiveness. It's this feeling. It's this momentum. Karan raised his long lance high with excitement. As the great dark fury beast, bloodthirsty hunter, it's never a problem for him to be the champion knight. Only that elf is qualified to be his opponent. He will create his own hero legend here. He will become a more powerful hero than that prince. He will kill the dragon, marry the princess, and achieve the peak of his life. The elf hung the sharp bowstring on his opponent's neck and announced with a soft voice, "It's over. You lose." So fast, the knight in heavy armor failed to capture the elf's figure from the beginning to the end. His sword and shield were totally vulnerable to the elf's elegant attack. This battle, from the beginning to the end, took only 10 seconds. Looking at the elf's breathtaking face, the knight suddenly put down his sword, knelt on one knee, and sent a bold message to the beautiful elf. "Marry me, and I will give you all I have." Lavluo showed a helpless expression. He had met too many similar scenes. "I'm not a female." Ah, how could? The knight gaped at the elf's sharp ears, slender figure, and the beautiful face that enchanted all living beings. How could such a beautiful person be a man? "I'm sorry, you should leave." Kingfisher waved his longbow and directly beat the knight down the challenge arena. Why do humans always make the same mistakes? Oh, I must have drawn fake lots. A girl in white deerskin armor looked at her opponent. She only wanted to cry at this moment. As a member of the Starwing Knights, she clearly knew that she had no chance to win this opponent. Xiao Qiao, the deputy leader of the Starwing Knights, and the first genius of the Starwing Knights. Apart from Huayu, all the other members have been beaten up by this extraordinary deputy leader for many times in training. "I'll be gentle." Xiao Qiao nodded first, then held the god weapon in her hand with a charging gesture. Shuffle. With a flashing light throughout the arena, she solved the battle in 1 second. "Deputy leader, that's not gentle at all." The girl who had been beaten to fly in the sky cried before landing. In the penultimate round, Desert Dragon Zaka's turn finally started. At last, Zaka licked her lips and warmed up. Her opponent is also known to Yun Shi, Redstone, the man of red steel genre, who once forced Xiao Qiao into a desperate situation for a time in the Battle Gods Championship contest. In this world, he still has a huge body that can make people feel fear. 3 meters tall body gives people a sense of terror and oppression. On the reddish-red skin, the lava-like lines are clearer than when Yun Shi first saw him. Obviously, after the battle with Xiao Qiao, his lava skin has been further improved. "Well, he looks similar to you, Shaheen." She looked at the big man with great interest and jumped into the huge arena. "Ah, why is it a little guy?" Redstone looked at Zaka, whose height doesn't even reach his waist, with a disappointed look on his face. In any case, this little woman is not a strong warrior he wants to fight against. Little? Desert Dragon Zaka had an evil smile on her lips. Just because she's gentle with Yun, she doesn't mean she'll be so nice to other people. Don't forget where the name of Evil Dragon came from. "I'll beat you down in 1 stroke." Redstone's skin instantly warmed up, showing a red similar to that of cooked prawns, and the fists suddenly stroked each other. Huge metal boxers emit white smoke, and the gravity around them begins to twist. Haha. Looking at Redstone, Desert Dragon Zaka dismissively reached out her left hand. What? At this time, Redstone found that things were not right. His skill had no effect on the little guy. No, it's not ineffective, it's immune to it all. 10 times of gravity absorption, additional magnetic field suppression, for her as if his secret skill does not exist. What kind of physique is this? Does that tiny body contain such a huge power? Pat! It's the sound of something being compressed to the limit and then popping out. It's not any magic, it's not magic, it's not even a secret skill. Zaka simply compressed the air between the fingers and ejected it. Bang! The huge chains on Redstone's body were broken without any omen, which couldn't even be easily destroyed by common god weapons. Bang! 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 The air ejected by her, just like the invincible bullets, completely smashed Redstone's arms. Finally Redstone realized how terrible his opponent was. He roared and launched the 3 basic secrets of the red steel genre at once. Lava skin, red steel blood, and lava breath. Red steel can't be refined. At any time, do not believe in the outside power. The ultimate power that red steel genre pursues is to strengthen their bodies into god weapon-like weapons and awaken the original giant power. Fake hard body. This is a new skill he enlightened after the battle with Xiao Qiao, and also the power pursued by the geniuses of the red steel genre. The ejected air bombarded Redstone's body and made deep holes, which forced Redstone to retreat continuously. Redstone couldn't believe his eyes, but his body told him that in less than 10 seconds, his defense would collapse completely. Even the fake hard body can't resist the seemingly random pinky. What a terrible power. However, because of this, Redstone became more excited. Yes, it's this power, this sense of oppression. Red Steel genre is eager for such a battle. Now, he has burst out 100% of his power, but it is not enough. More power. The red muscle was bulging to the extent that looked frightening. Redstone embraced his head with both hands, made a deafening roar, and launched a fearless charge towards Zaka. Red Steel blood. Never retreat. Haha. Looking at Redstone, she slowly put down her small hand and inhaled. That's 10 times louder than the roar of Redstone, which can be heard even by people in a far away from the city. It's the roar of the most terrifying and powerful creature at the top of the pyramid of the world's biological chain. Without any magic, this roar is the strength, the will incarnation of declaring and disdaining all lower creatures. Dragon roar. Redstone, whose height was more than 3 meters and weight were 10 times more than ordinary people, was blown away like a man made of paper in front of the roar of the dragon, disappearing into the sky. This is the power of the dragon. Even in her human form, it can bring disaster. It's good as a warm-up. Zaka came down from the arena and sat next to Yunshi with a little humming. The whole arena became silent for a while. Even half of the audience was stunned by Zaka's roar. If it wasn't for the magic shield that was protecting the audience, the roar would have blood-washed the whole arena. When Yunshi stepped onto the arena, people still hadn't recovered from the roar. Ask in advance, can you also use that skill? Yunshi's opponent was a civilian girl in the Starwing Knights. After feeling the dragon roar at a close distance, she still had the courage to stand on the arena. Yunshi is very proud of her as a member of the Starwing Knights. Even in the face of a monster, she didn't lose her will to fight. So, what reward should I give her? Yunshi smiled and reached out to her. He can also compress air and launch it, but that's too bullying. The girl hasn't reached the hero rank. It's better to appease her gently. Whoa, I'm still immature. Please don't be too violent. For some reason, the girl always felt that the mysterious man in front of her gave her a wonderful sense of kindness. Why? It's the first time for her to meet him, but she naturally felt that she wouldn't be in danger. Then, I will choose the soft attack. Yunshi's palm was raised slightly and then dropped slightly. Gee. The girl felt as if she had been touched by something soft on her chest, and then her whole body was shocked. She lost control of her body completely and fell down uncontrollably. Soft water palm. Pressing one hand on the girl's shoulder, Yunshi overwhelmed the girl's body. This process was beautiful and gentle, and even didn't make the girl feel the slightest pain. The talent of the soft body is now fully developed by Yunshi. When you fought with me, you were not so gentle, Shaheen. Zaka puffed up her cheeks and remembers the fight before. Throw in the towel? Yunshi smiled at the girl who was pushed down by himself. I give up. The girl had a fever on her cheek, especially where her chest was touched just now. It was like a high fever. Yunshi won. I'm Xiaomi. For some reason she herself didn't know. The girl held by Yunshi couldn't help but tell her real name. Doesn't it hurt? He asked with concern. It doesn't hurt at all. Xiaomi looked at Yunshi shyly. She has a really good character. Will she be the next companion of the Starwing Knights? Nice job, Shaheen. Shaheen, cheek up. Yunshi raised his head and looked at the audience clapping for him. Are you mistaken about something very important? Why are you so gentle when you hit her? Desert Dragon Zaka pouted and looked at Yunshi, who had just come down from the arena. If it was you, Yunshi carefully considered and came to the conclusion that, if he uses the soft body when they fight, he will be killed by her in less than a second, and his end will be 100 times worse than Redstone faced just now. You are too strong for me to be merciful. You are too strong. The attack just now can do no damage to you. This is Yunshi's answer. Ahem, that's right. Zaka complained and felt happy in her heart. Well, he said she was strong. Of course, she was the dragon that ravaged the continent, the master of the western desert, and the great desert dragon Zaka. In his praise, I'll forgive him a little bit for such a trifle. But if he goes any further, she's going to kill a lot. He has proposed to her. How can he be good to other girls? It's a foul. If he knows it, he will call out loudly, I never proposed to you. The first round of the championship night competition ended in the whispers of Zaka and Yunshi. Unsurprisingly, all three of the top favorites were promoted, and there was also a black horse turned out. Zero, a completely unknown name before the competition, has become the fourth most popular name tied with Xiao Chao, Luo, and Karan. As for Yunshi, because of the way he once seemed too gentle, many people completely mistook his strength. People saw only the gentle posture Zero holding him actively, and Xiaomi's emotion when she was hugged by Yunshi, which didn't look like the expression of the defeated. Plus Yunshi's real body was hidden under the cloak. Most of the people regard him as Zero's sister. It must be said that this is a big misunderstanding. There were 157 participants in the championship night competition, and only 79 were left at the end of the first round. Amongst them, there were dozens of people who were seriously injured, unable to participate in the second round of the competition. So the competition directly entered the second round of the top 64. It has to be mentioned that the members of the Starwing Knights, in addition to Xiao Chao and Xiaomi who accidentally met Yunshi, all of the 17 girls of the Starwing Knights successfully entered the second round, letting many audiences see the strength of the Knights with their own eyes. Amongst the 64 candidates, the Starwing Knights occupy almost one-third of the places, which represents the highest level of force of the whole kingdom. For some reason, including Ling Ling and Mei Lan, many noble girls of the Starwing Knights did not attend the championship night competition. In the second round, contrary to the draw in the first round, Yunshi was the first. His opponent is one of the most popular candidates, Kingfisher, a mysterious elf from the Western Gods domain. Now, he was looking at Yunshi with a strange look. You are not a woman, are you? The elf's sense is keen, or it's because he was mistaken to be a woman too many times. Yes, it's clear on my application form that I'm a male. Looking around at the crowd who were whistling and cheering, Yunshi shrugged his shoulders. Shaheen is obviously a male name. Why do you think I'm Zero's sister? Is it because he was a little too gentle? But they are all the girls who have seed connections with him. They all have a part of him in their bodies. He has changed their fate and naturally has to take responsibility for them. I understand. Kingfisher felt the same way. It is clear that the name Kingfisher is a male name. Why do all people doubt his gender? Every year, he receives 5 times more love letters from men than from women. The problem is that elves can't fall in love with short-lived human beings at all. Can you imagine the possibility of the elven race, who can spend decades just to forge a beautiful dagger, marrying a human who has only 100 years of life? Elves can spend 10 years just thinking about the response to the other side's proposal. Human beings don't have such a long life to waste. Only the darling of the world rules can have so much energy to study art and think about the truth of all things, and spend thousands of years for a promise. If you want to fall in love with an elf, you have to live as long as an elf. According to the approximate estimation of the elven race, the average time taken by elves to fall in love is about 500 years. It may take more than 10 years for human beings to realize that they have developed into a romantic relationship, and that's long enough. However, love of the elves started only after 300 years, and a 1,000-year long-term relationship is not uncommon. What bothers the elf race is a different kind of annoyance from that of the short-lived species. If we regard the life of intelligent creatures as a race, most of them will die before they reach the end. Only a few of them can step on the bodies of countless people, come to the end, and open the door of the legend rank. The situation of the elven race is that they run faster and more steadily most of the time. Even if they never practice, just staying in the elf's forest, their strength will grow slowly. Then, without exception, their strength would stop completely at some time and never move forward. Just like the race between the hare and the tortoise, it is clear that the rabbit can run faster than the tortoise, but before the end of the race, the rabbit will fall asleep stupidly and let the tortoise win. For the elves, this fable is just right. The end of all intelligent creatures, or the beginning of the road to eternity, is the legend rank. In the endless gods' domains, the legend rank is the highest rank, at least the pyramid vertex within the range of human understanding. Only legends can last forever. However, the elves are the most difficult race to have someone reach the legend rank. In the Sky Sword God's domain alone, dozens of human sky swords have been born. No one knows how many legend ranks the elves have, but the absolute number is not large, totally out of proportion to the many hero-ranked individuals of the elf race, and this is the number accumulated by the elven race in 10 million years. At the extreme point, all elves can grow to the hero rank, but the elf that can eventually surpass the hero rank and step into the legend rank can be counted on one's fingers. The more powerful they are, the more likely they are to fall into a state of indifference to the world, and even the power to live will gradually disappear. Many hero-ranked elves will neither grow old nor stronger for thousands of years, just like the sleeping hare, who can no longer reach the end. Kingfisher is the hero who is believed by the elders of the elven race to be the most likely one to reach the legend level. He is different from other elves in essence. Perhaps, his absolute power is inferior to the elders who have stagnated for more than 1,000 years in the hero rank. However, he has all the characteristics that the elders of the elven race do not have. Curiosity, the impulse to fight. In the war with demons, he always marched forward bravely and never feared the blood and killing. Countless powerful demons were killed by his arrows. He doesn't hate human beings, and even takes the initiative to approach humans and be responsible for training human disciples. Any of these is not in line with the policy of seclusion held by the elves. He is an elf archer who doesn't behave like an elf. At the same time, he is also at the hero rank who has the most hope to break through the limit of elves and embark on the road of a legend. Because he has the most of the missing things of the elven race, vitality. Just like at this moment, he can smile cordially when facing you and she who had similar experiences. It was not a polite smile when dealing with human beings, but the sincere and enthusiastic smile. When he smiled, Kingfisher was like a warm figure painting, giving off elegant temperament. Although Yunshi knows that he is a man, he can't help but feel his heart beating faster. This smile is so easy to be misunderstood. No, that elf is so beautiful. This is the scream of the female audience. No, I really want to push this elf. Stop, brother. I also think that my sexual orientation is a little. Is he a man or a woman? He is so hot. It doesn't matter if he's male or female. I'm going to fall. It seems that Yunshi heard many very dangerous speeches. You are really. It's not easy to deal with such things. Yunshi felt the same about Kingfisher's treatment. In fact, in the White Lotus Sword Palace, he received love letters from some innocent teenagers too. Hey, Hua, it's all your fault. Even so, he received more love letters from girls. Occasionally, there would be blue and white underpants, strawberry underpants, and bras of various sizes that appear with the love letters. This problem seems to be more serious than receiving love letters from innocent teenagers. The same to you. Kingfisher smelt the same atmosphere on Yunshi. The world is so big, but few people are bothered by this problem. They are not cheaters who want to cheat people with beautiful faces. They are real hero-ranked masters. He was just looking forward to the killing princess figure, unable to leave his eyes from the sad and powerful back, and finally chose the road doomed to be lonely and powerful. After the killing princess died, he no longer had the idea of finding his other half, stepping into the legend rank, so that he can eliminate these damn demons. This is the biggest obsession in his heart. To this end, he made a huge plan for himself, which needs to be completed in thousands of years. Negotiation with human beings, going out of the elf god's domain, and even coming to this remote sword domain. Everything is part of that great plan. Well, at this point, he still has the traditional elven style. An elf's revenge won't be diminished even after 1,000 years. What are you good at? As a predecessor who is about 10 times the age of Yun Shi, Kingfisher actively asked him what he was best at. Without my god weapon, well, it's probably close combat. Yun Shi didn't plan to take out Starwings before meeting Desert Dragon Zaka. He had a premonition that it's better not to use this god weapon casually. Every time he uses Starwings, it gives him a kind of inexplicable premonition, as if there are some forces that shouldn't exist in the world that are being released. Every time the flying of the sword's gorgeous wings is like opening an invisible door. Something is coming out of that door. Now, the door just opened a tiny crack. If the door opened more, what would Starwings become? Yun Shi didn't dare to try. Yun Shi decided to seal the sword unless it's necessary. The power of Starwings didn't seem to have evolved from the original Crane Wings twin swords. Good. I'm confident in the close combat too. After hundreds of years of adventures, from the Western God's domain to the Dragon God's domain, and then to the Sky Sword God's domain, Kingfisher had defeated countless opponents. Many of them think that he is just an archer and can be killed as long as they approach him. Well, the elven race's strength is weak, indeed. However, don't underestimate the combat skills developed after hundreds of years. Kingfisher, as a demon killer, is a rare freak in the whole history of the elves. He had even torn up many fierce monsters such as black magic dogs with empty hands. At least, he has the confidence that it is almost impossible for human beings to have better fighting skills than him. Unless it's a human with God's talent. God's talent is a talent that can't be described in any words. Any intelligent creature had a very tiny possibility to have this talent. Every God's talent represents a path to the legend rank. That is to say, every awakened person of God's talent has the potential to become a legend rank in theory. The God of God's talent is the same concept as the God of God weapons. But the God of God's talent is more simple and direct. That's the talent to become a god. All God's talents go back to the beginning. All of them are related to gods and fantastic creatures. There is even a saying that all the intelligent creatures who have awakened God's talents are essentially children of God. Yun Shi took a deep breath, which meant that he would do his best. The hard body or the soft body. This is his biggest trump card besides Starwings. Looking at Kingfisher, he made an easy choice. His palm gently raised, and his figure became hazy. It is clear that in the daytime, in the hot sun, in the center of the arena, a mist of water quietly appeared. Soft water palm, the water god's dance. Like a bird flying over the water, Yun Shi's body almost lost all of its weight and flew over tens of meters, looking like a flying swallow. When Yun Shi's palm fell, Kingfisher noticed how strange this palm was. He felt as if countless water waves were rippling together, and the ripples arose to completely cover his whole body. His breathing seems to stop for a short time, just like sinking into the deep water in an instant. What he can see are only endless waves of water. His consciousness and resistance are gradually swallowed up in the quiet water. What's this attack? Kingfisher bit his tongue hard, and his will tempered from the bloody battlefield of the demon war resisted the incredible erosion. At this time, Yun Shi's palm had been pressed on Kingfisher's chest. At the critical moment, Kingfisher regained his consciousness and retreated, trying to avoid his strange erosive power. However, it didn't work. Yun Shi's palm was still firmly pressed on his chest. With a small and inaudible sound, a force around the fingers was pushed into Kingfisher's body by Yun Shi, and his palm was also tightly attached to Kingfisher's chest. Well, it's very flat. It's certainly not a girl's chest. However, the softness of this body is unbelievable. It's difficult to believe that this is a man's body. Through the touch of the palm, he had almost measured all the information of Kingfisher's body. Height, weight, and even the speed of blood flow are detected by Yun Shi's soft water palm. This is also an absolutely impossible task for the hard body. The hard body will only crush the opponent. But the soft body can measure everything of the opponent, and then defeat the opponent in various seemingly inconceivable ways. After hitting Kingfisher's chest, Yunshi didn't directly press Kingfisher's shoulder and push him down as he did when dealing with Xiaomi, because he felt a huge power coming out of Kingfisher's body in an instant. That's the counterattack of this hero-ranked elf, the counterattack of a martial arts master at the 6th rank. Huh. Yunshi pushed Kingfisher away. Shuffle. As sharp as the blade, the shadow of the leg passed in front of his cheek. If it wasn't for Yunshi pushing Kingfisher away, he would be killed by this attack immediately. Quick, ruthless, and accurate. This is what Kingfisher is good at as a demon killer. There is no superfluous gimmick, and the move is deadly. In the shortest time, he launched the fastest counterattack. This is the combat skill Kingfisher tempered in the fierce battlefield of the Demon's War. In the hundreds of years after the Demon's War, Kingfisher practiced this killing technique to the limit. In his adventure life in the endless gods' domains, he defeated countless enemies by using this skill. However, this can't hurt Yunshi. The power of the soft body is far beyond the limit of killing skills that can be obtained through exercise. The upper limit of Kingfisher's killing skill is just the starting point of the soft body. Yunshi just hit Kingfisher once, and had mastered even the most subtle part of his body. Before Kingfisher launched a counterattack, he had known where his attack would come from and what his move would be. After the counterattack failed, Kingfisher supported his hands on the ground and immediately launched the next attack, his legs whirling up from the ground like the whirlwind rising. All the archers of the elf race knew this ground counterattack skill called Whirlwind Foot. In the past, elf archers kicked off innumerable people's chins with this skill. However, this move was also predicted in advance by Yunshi. His head slightly tilted back and flashed over the small foot that was enough to break his chin, and at the same time, Yunshi's body made a step to the left obliquely, and he suddenly reached out and grabbed Kingfisher's ankle. It's like a goshawk catching a rabbit in the field. Grasping Kingfisher's ankle, he gently pressed and rubbed the fingertip, which made half of Kingfisher's body fall into a strange state of crispness and numbness, and even the blood circulation in his whole body was broken for a second. If he wasn't an elf but a human, he had lost his fighting power at this moment. Kingfisher bit his tongue and forced the interrupted blood circulation to recover. The once interrupted whirlwind foot rotated at a faster speed, forcing Yunshi to loosen his ankle. His body rotated up from the ground, rushing into the sky with the shadow of green leaves, then turned around in the air and jumped away from Yunshi, which almost violated the physical rules. Kingfisher's forehead quietly dropped transparent sweat. It's too tough. It's an opponent he has never met before. From the moment he was approached by Yunshi, the whole rhythm of battle was out of order. It's hard to imagine what kind of cultivation method can possess such an ability. He felt as if all his counterattacks were seen through by Yunshi in advance, and his every move was under Yunshi's control. For him, the rhythm of the fight is mastered by the other side is tantamount to declaring that he has lost. I think I have found the knack. For Yunshi, this was also the first time to perform the soft water palm to this level. Different from the secret skill of the hard body, the secret skills of the soft body consume very little, but its effect is surprisingly good. Take the water god dance as an example. It's a magic skill that can bring the power of rhythm into full play. It can't be cultivated without the soft body. Once the water god dance is started, Yunshi can completely master everything around his body. No matter what the environment, he can conserve and recycle his strength freely. Kingfisher was unable to resist his attack because his rhythm was completely controlled by the water god dance. The Yunshi in the state of the water god dance is like an elf standing on the water. Every step and every action will be integrated into the endless water waves. Every attack of Kingfisher has caused a huge ripple in this water wave, which makes him feel it in advance, and the body naturally makes a perfect response. This is not a deliberate response, but a purely natural, subconscious response. It's a natural response to all muscle, nerve, and even bones in the whole body, many of which completely violate the rules of human flesh and blood. So this is the soft body. This is comparable to the infinite explosive power of the hard body, the water god dance. I'm going to be serious. Kingfisher's eyes became more and more persistent. It is one of his characteristics that he climbs up from wherever he falls, which is the characteristic other elves don't have. Like a flying dragonfly, Kingfisher performed his speed advantage to the limit. Elves are born to be the darling of world rules. When human children are still crawling on the ground, elves can fly in the forest. As the darling of the forest, they are born to be rangers. This kind of talent can make them gallop down a 100-meter-tall tree and make them leap with a soft branch as their foothold. The forest is always the home of elves. Kingfisher can complete the 2-stage jump and shift even in the air without any foothold. Even amongst the elves, he is the most outstanding close combat master. His attack was as fierce as a storm. Yunshi didn't care. Following the rhythm of the water god dance, he took the initiative to approach Kingfisher. Elf close combat skill is different from a human's. Kingfisher rotated. His feet turned into the rotating posture of the electric drill and drove hard to Yunshi's footwall. Yunshi's body was shaking like a water bird, avoiding Kingfisher's attack. Pa! Kingfisher's hands supported on the ground, and his legs directly twisted to Yunshi's head. Raising his right hand, Yunshi slapped Kingfisher's ankle. His left hand pressed the void, drawing a mysterious track in the air, and cut Kingfisher's calf. Again, this kind of sense of control. No, never follow the rhythm of the other side. Kingfisher clenched his teeth. With a back somersault, he got rid of Yunshi's pursuit, and then almost instantly fought back. The distance of 10 meters between them changes to 0 in less than 1/6 of a second, which is an assault that even most elves can't perform. In the next second, there was a series of dazzling, continuous kicks. Kingfisher's right foot locked the key points of Yunshi's whole body and launched a deadly dance attack. So fast. This is Yunshi's first feeling. Kingfisher finally shows his strong physical quality. If it was Desert Dragon Zaka, even she wouldn't be able to deal with such a series of instant attacks. If Yunshi was in the state of the hard body, he could only face the crazy dance attack and pray that his hard body could withstand it. However, now Yunshi was in the soft body state, and he was launching the water god dance. Yunshi had felt Kingfisher's attack route in advance from the waves around him. This move is going to kick my neck. This move is aiming at the temple on the right side of my forehead. Yunshi's body swayed with the water wave, just like a water lily moving in the wind. His eyes seemed to be sleepy and entered into an ineffable and wonderful state. The muscles, nerves, and even bones of the whole body are slightly changed with the waves of the water. Every kick of Kingfisher will be perfectly predicted and then avoided. The reaction limit that humans can't do can be easily broken through in the soft body state. It's something that can't be judged by the eyes. Water, carrying everything. Water, containing everything. The water god dance is dancing on the surface of the water. 1,000 kicks in a row. Even Kingfisher himself didn't expect that. He actually completed 1,000 kicks that had never been completed in the past. But even with such a crazy attack frequency, his foot still didn't hit Yunshi once. All attacks were completely evaded by Yunshi in a seemingly understated way. He felt as if he wasn't attacking the flesh and blood of a human being, but the reflection in the water. How can this be? Am I attacking a ball of mist, or the reflection of the moon in the water? Yunshi caught Kingfisher's fleeting trance and held out his hand. The soft water palm slaps Kingfisher's instep. Through his soft sole, the force of the palm penetrated directly into Kingfisher's instep and then went up to his calf to his heart. Bang! Kingfisher's heart suddenly made a strange drum sound, and his kick stopped on the 1008th combo. The feeling of crispness and numbness swept his whole body from the heart, which wasn't something Kingfisher could resist by biting his tongue again. He thought that he could use his will to offset the power of soft water palm, which was just a beautiful fantasy. Yunshi's first palm attack revealed Kingfisher's height, weight, blood flow, and neural response speed. The second palm attack intruded Kingfisher's whole body with an imperceptible posture. After the third palm attack, Kingfisher lost control of his body. Yunshi reached out his hands, looking like he was going to hug his lover. He easily hugged Kingfisher's thin neck. No, I'm caught. Kingfisher's eyes suddenly showed a look of astonishment. It is undoubtedly fatal to be caught by his opponent. The next second, She grasped Kingfisher's neck, quickly approached his body, and then turned to his back in an instant and wrapped his feet around Kingfisher's body. The whole process looked like a close interaction with him, but it actually contained enough skills to kill Kingfisher instantly. Kingfisher's head was dizzy for a while, and then he suffocated because he was lacking oxygen. I'm sorry. She looked at Kingfisher. Under normal conditions, with Kingfisher's physique, it was impossible for him to be knocked out after being strangled. The reason for this unexpected result is that he was so confident that he was hit by She's soft water palm continuously. It seems that soft water palm is far less impressive than the outbreak attack of the hard body, but the actual lethality is not low at all. Kingfisher doesn't have the same monster-like physique as Desert Dragon Zaka. After being hit by the soft water palm 3 times in a row, the only result was to be stunned. Your close combat skills are terrible. Kingfisher shook his head, as his dizziness hadn't disappeared yet. Although as an elf archer, his close combat ability is at the first-class level. However, She's close combat ability is at the Grandmaster class. Probably only She didn't realize how strong the soft body was. Even Kingfisher, whose speed is so fast that people can't lock his position with the naked eye, is defeated by the water god dance. You're an archer, are you? I'm just good at close combat. She was not proud at all. He didn't feel that he had won a great victory. He just beat an archer at close combat. How could it be called a victory? I won't be within a kilometer of you if I meet you on the battlefield. Moving his paralyzed hands and feet, Kingfisher felt that the blood flow in his body had not returned to normal. Now he realized how he lost. He didn't expect that without the power of any god weapon, She accomplished a great task that no demon could accomplish, beat him down. If they encountered each other on the real battlefield, Kingfisher could imagine what would happen to him. Well, it's over? Isn't the elf an archer? Why did he rush up to fight with his opponent? He was sure to lose. Shaheen, that was a beautiful skill. Oh, look at his leg, his body. Ah, She seemed to hear some unexpected gasps from the audience. Why are you so excited? It seems that the champion of this competition will be you or your sister. Kingfisher shook hands with She with great grace. It is his persistence to stand up from wherever he falls. It is also his style to recognize the enemy's advantages and develop the most appropriate tactics. Now, Kingfisher remembered it. No matter what time, don't enter into close combat with the Shaheen in front of him. If he really meets Shaheen on the battlefield, his best choice would be locking Shaheen's head with his god weapon from kilometers away and shooting at it. Whether human beings or elves, they can grow up with constant setbacks. Ah, Zero. She looked at Zaka, who was pawing at him from a distance. He just wanted to go shopping and walk happily in the last free time before the wedding. Even if he won the mysterious girl Zero once again, his wish was just to let her go shopping and walk with him. People don't understand that elves are no different from the stamens and pistils of flowers. In order to match their lovers, elves will choose their gender. If the person the elf likes is male, the elf will change its gender to female. If the person the elf likes is female, the elf will try to become a male. To differentiate a gender is to declare that he or she has a lover. In fact, the vast majority of elves will not choose their own gender all their lives, because there are very few times they will love someone. Compared with choosing their own gender, they seem to be more likely to attract other people's crazy pursuit. Therefore, it's better for your lover to stay away from elves. This was what Desert Dragon Zaka confirmed from her deep memory. The next game, Zero versus Karan. In the challenge arena, the opponents of the next match are drawn. Great. It's time for the hero to play. Karan, the descendant of Assyria with a long spiral spear on his back, licked his lips. Dark Rage Beast, show your rage. Bloodthirsty Hunter, it's time to hunt. In his body, the violent blood is ready to move, like a demon dog about to be liberated, roaring to the sky. Be careful. Don't go on the road of no return. Shaheen. Zero didn't pay attention to who her opponent was and looked at Yuan-shi with more and more uneasy in her eyes. Is this love? Afraid of being robbed of her own unique treasures. Obviously he is on her side, but there are always people looking at him. Time to let you know Desert Dragon Zaka's wrath. You damned enemies. Zero. Player Zero. The organizer of the competition had to amplify his voice to remind her that she would be sentenced to overtime if she didn't move. Go on. Don't you want to be the champion of the competition? Yuan-shi looked at Zaka with a helpless expression. Ah, this jealous look is very similar to Huahua. Then I'll go up. Watch my play, Shaheen. This is my showtime. Zero almost forgot her original goal of making a big fight in the competition. Compared with this, Zaka was much more looking forward to the next moment of fighting Yuan-shi in the arena. Champion? What is that? I don't mind it at all. All the people who stand in the middle of her and Yuan-shi are enemies. Enemies. Don't you know that if you disturb others to talk about love, you will encounter the dragon's wrath? Puff. Huh. Karan had been waiting for a long time in the arena. He held his long lance in both hands and pressed down his body. He looked like a giant dog ready to roar and fight. Feel it. Feel it. The blood in his body was unprecedentedly boiling up. The power of the evil god is releasing some information. Come on, Karan. It's time to hunt. The opponent in front of you is the highest prey, and you will get the highest satisfaction if you succeed in hunting. Go. Bo. The moment Zero jumped onto the challenge arena, Karan moved. He howled like a wolf in the moonlight. It's the roar of the dark beast. It's the bloodthirsty hunter's declaration of bloodthirsty hunting. His lower body was like a spring pressing to the ground, and then he jumped up high and shot the long lance in his hands towards Zero. The rotation of the black long lance accelerated, turning into a black streamer that locked on to Zero's heart. This shot absolutely can hit. This is from Karan's instinct. However, it's not the end. There is a more terrifying kill waiting behind. After throwing the magic lance, Karan's hands suddenly changed into a pair of bloodthirsty claws. This is a pair of green claws with the color of blood flowing. This is the real awakening skill of the Black Dog Prince, inherited from the ancient demon dog Cerberus. Ouch! Prince Karan turned into a virtual shadow, following the long black lance he shot, pouncing at Desert Dragon Zaka. Lock in the opponent. Tear your opponent. Ruthless, cruel, bloodthirsty. This is the instinct of the dark angry beast and bloodthirsty hunter. Even in the face of the dragon, the bloodthirsty hunter dares to rush up. Ding! As predicted by Karan, the rotating and accelerating black long lance hit Zero's chest, the vital point of the human heart. Just, why is the sound so strange? Karan didn't have time to think about it, and had launched the strongest biting attack so far. His bloodthirsty claws tearing Zero's body crazily. Ding! 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 It's not like the sound of the bloodthirsty claws tearing the body of flesh and blood. It's more like the sound of the dog's claws scratching a marble wall in vain. So hard. What is it? Karan was shocked to find that his bloodthirsty claws only scratched several white traces on Zero's cloak. It can't be a human body. Is she wearing god armor? No, even god armor can't have such hardness. The hardness can even break his bloodthirsty claws. Wild dog, get out of the way. At this time, Desert Dragon Zaka looked angrily at her cloak that had been torn open. Roar. The dragon roared. Prince Karan was blown away, turned into a meteor in the distance, and disappeared on the other side of the horizon. No matter how many times I see it, you are still so powerful. Looking at Prince Karan was solved with a light and easy dragon roar. Yuan-shi confirmed once again that Zero was very strong. Haha, it's a pity that I didn't pay attention to my clothes. Compared with the victory, Yuan-shi's praise made Desert Dragon Zaka 100 times happier. She giggled without a bit of tyranny that ravaged the mainland. Come on, praise me more. Look at me, listen to my voice, and dance with me. The time with you is so happy, so simple. It doesn't matter. I'll sew it for you. Since awakening to the unexpected special ability of making puppets, Yuan-shi has found that his hands have become more dexterous than before. White Moon's puppet dress, the complicated skirt, and lace were all handmade by him. It's just a few tear marks. The difficulty of sewing is not worth mentioning compared with making White Moon's puppet dress. Please. Zaka never thought that she would sit next to a man and watch him sew clothes for herself. The delicate and skillful hands are so fascinating. No, I'm getting in deeper and deeper. The more I am with him, the more I can't leave him. At this moment, the fierce heartbeat is more intense than when the battle is most intense. Why does fate until now let me meet my chosen one? Did he know long ago that as long as he took the initiative to date her, he would make her like him so much, so hearty? Alas, what should I do? I've never been in such a mood. All right. In less than 5 minutes, Yuan-shi sewed all the broken parts of Zaka's cloak, and now she could not see any traces that had been torn. Well, it seems that even if he stops being the owner of the bakery, he has new skills for making a living. If he runs out of money on the way to escape marriage, can he also consider becoming a tailor or making wooden puppets to earn money? Yuan-shi wondered if he could reach the passing level when he meets the test of the puppet city in the 7 towers again. It's over? Zaka was still immersed in a sweet mood. After returning to her mind, her cloak has been repaired like a new one. That stupid dog has weak claws. Doesn't he know how to tear her clothes? It's unforgivable. The next time I meet the next opponent, I will break this cloak a little more, so that I can enjoy the sweet moment of only 2 people again. Okay, that's what we decided to do. Desert Dragon Zaka praised her own wit. Happy times always pass so fast. The second round of the championship night competition is over unconsciously. 2 of the 3 favorites before the match have been sifted out in this round. The names of Zero and Shaheen have shocked the whole audience. Especially Zero, who roared at the opponent with absolute crushing advantage twice, won the exclamation of, "Is there really a person who is a match for her?" She has replaced Xiao Chao as the #1 favorite of the championship night competition. Kingfisher and Karan's failure made a lot of gamblers lose their money, while Zero and Shaheen's appearance was to make the profiteers happy. Gamblers began to make a final fight. Almost all of them put the rest of their money on Zero, who showed her crushing strength. Sealed. Sealed. The current rate is the final rate, and it will not change. Come on. It's the last chance, the chance to turn over. Don't miss it. In the roar of the profiteers, a mysterious figure appeared in front of the gambling place, quietly pressing down a large amount that can make people scream. The end of blood is coming. Warning. Warning. Away from the prince. Away from the prince. Look at him. The building is going to collapse. 2 red birds screamed out at the top of their lungs and cursed some bad bastard. The championship night competition, the 4th round, the last 16 games. Yuan-shi sighed. Why do I meet the girls of the Starwing Knights again? It must have been unfortunate for the girl to meet him in the last 16 games. Hello, I'm Xiaomi's friend. I will do my best. It was a timid girl. She raised the crossed sword in her hands and made a special assault gesture for knights. This was a girl who had stepped on the way of her own knight's creed. In the future, she will definitely become an outstanding knight. Looking at the girl with a perfect posture, Yuan-shi nodded and recognized her efforts. However, she still has confusion in her heart, so she can't see through her weakness. Treat her gently. Yuan-shi raised his hand. Oh, it's that skill. The girl had known what skill Yuan-shi was going to use. However, it's one thing to know that Yuan-shi will use, but it's another thing to be able to prevent it. Yuan-shi stepped toward her, just like the water lily swaying in the waves, elegant and mysterious, soft and hazy. By the time the girl drew out of the sword, Yuan-shi's hand had skillfully passed through her defense and gently pressed on her chest. The girl's height, weight, even the length of her toes, and the softness of her body were reflected in Yuan-shi's mind. Her breasts are pretty. Did she bind her chest with bandages to prevent others from finding out about this? Although the size of her breasts can't be compared with the noble ladies of the Starwing Knights, it's apparently far away from the average. The girl who was hit in the chest by Yun, she was shaking all over her body. Yun, she approached her subconsciously, clinging to the girl's body, and then turning to the girl behind. Lock. Throw. It was almost exactly the same as he did to Kingfisher just now, but it was faster, and the power was reduced to a negligible degree, almost by using the other's weight. Unlike the hard body, the soft body always looks so beautiful. Before the fallen girl could resist, Yun, she locked her hands and feet with straight armbar, then raised his fist and knocked her small head symbolically. Ah! The girl looked at Yun, she with tears in her eyes. The gap is too big. It's not a gap that any skill or talent can surpass. This is the difference between the hero rank and the mortal rank. Yun, she used his power carefully to avoid hurting her. Throw in the towel? Sitting on the girl's body, Yun, she smiled calmly. The whole process was just like playing with children. What to do? To be as powerful as you are? The girl was unwilling to look at Yun, she, who suppressed herself and made herself unable to move. You will be stronger soon. Yun, she could feel that the girl in front of him had the aptitude to be a witch. In her body, there is an extraordinary magic bud, which is the magic source of the witches. Being a common girl, she had the aptitude to awaken the talent belonging to the witch. This is naturally the effect of Yun Shi's seed sharing. It means that she is more suitable for the rank of a witch than a knight. Of course, it doesn't mean that she can't use the sword. Many witches are also good at using their magic wands as large siege weapons. Really? I can be as strong as you? The girl's eyes began to be full of hope. Yes, you have a different future. Yun, she also wondered why she, as a member of the Starwing Knights, had awakened the magic talent of the witch. I'll try. The girl put up her chest and began to be confident again. I'm Xiaoya. Thank you for your advice. Ah, whether it is Xiaomi or Xiaoya, my Starwing Knights have so many talented girls. Watching the girls grow up like flowers in the garden, showing their charm, Yun, she has a sense of achievement. Maybe that's how horticulturists feel. Don't let me say it again. Don't talk to other girls in front of me. Desert Dragon Zaka gnashed her teeth and looked at Yun Shi. Her dragon teeth were almost exposed as anger boiled in her eyes. Feeling the horror of Zaka, the people around her are frightened away like birds and beasts. Not everyone can be the same as Yun Shi, who can have a peaceful heart facing the dragon. It looks like we'll meet each other in the arena soon. Yun Shi came down from the arena and didn't notice anything wrong with Zaka at all. Yes, this is our stage. The names of Zero and Shaheen will make the prince sleepless with fear. Desert Dragon Zaka proudly raised her head. Yes, that's it. Except for her and Shaheen, other contestants of the championship night competition are just a bunch of weak chickens. There is no need to worry about the short-lived species. Except for the elf, who is a little dangerous, the others are not even qualified to be her opponent. The treasure Zaka wants must be occupied in every way. Let me beat down all of them. Being praised by Yun Shi, Zaka had an impulse to smash the competition completely. She wants these stupid people to know what a real dragon is. Don't exaggerate. Show your real strength in the final. Yun, she had a headache. He looked at Zaka, who was so full of energy. If it's Huahua, she won't have such a strong desire to attack. She is like a bad version of Huahua. Huh. With another roar, Desert Dragon Zaka triumphantly blew her opponent away. Everyone who saw this scene had no doubt about the last winner of the competition. Overbearing, strong, invincible. The name of Zero has become a symbol of despair. At least other contestants of this competition have given up their hope to be the champion. Other people are aiming at the top 3 at most. In the eyes of many people, the top 3 of the championship night competition has been decided. The strongest contestant, Zero, the second favorite one, may also be the only one who has the hope to challenge Zero, Xiao Chao. The third favorite one, the person who showed his strong close combat ability in the competition, Shaheen. In fact, the situation was developing as people expected. The final 16, the final 8, the final 4, Zero, Shaheen, Xiao Chao, and a knight of the royal household became the last 4 people of the championship night competition. As a result of drawing lots and grouping, Zero took the lead in the attack. The hero-ranked royal knight was specially dressed in the ancestral armor and had a big shield. Unfortunately, none of the equipment had any effect on resisting Desert Dragon Zaka's roar, and he was instantly blown away. The next battle was between Yun Shi and his deputy head of Starwing Knights, Xiao Chao. Yun Shi looked at Xiao Chao, who came up from the arena opposite him, and felt a little nervous. Only her, even in the face of the overwhelming crushing victory of Zaka, never showed any wavering. Without Desert Dragon Zaka and Yun Shi, the Starwing Knights would have been the biggest winner of the championship night competition. Half of the people of the top 16 belonged to the Starwing Knights. Following a drum-like footstep rhythm of drums, she bravely attacked Yun Shi. The first slash, from left to right. The second cleave, from top to bottom. Xiao Chao's sword looked so simple and ordinary. Only Yun Shi, who faced the sword, could feel the strong will contained in it. The water god dance failed for the first time. The circle spread from Yun Shi as the center was cut by Xiao Chao's mortal sword. Although it recovered soon, it lost all of its special abilities. This means that Yun Shi cannot predict Xiao Chao's attack exactly as before. The power of the sword of the mortal perfectly restrained Yun Shi's water god dance. Although this ability is just a prototype, it is enough to make Yun Shi feel its horror. If he faced such a sword when he had just entered the world of Dragon War, he might have been suppressed by such a mortal sword. Fortunately, Yun Shi was not the ordinary bakery owner now. He had obtained his own god weapon, Star Wings, and made a puppet with its own soul. Yun Shi grew faster than Xiao Chao, which also had the credit of the Starwing Knights. It's okay if you can't predict the enemy's attack, as long as you can be faster and stronger than the enemy. With his fingertips moving, Yun Shi's palm touched Xiao Chao's mortal sword. The sword of the mortal has a special effect of breaking all the extraordinary attributes. Xiao Chao is the only one who can exert the power of the sword to this extent. But in addition, it is not sharp, nor has any other special ability. For Xiao Chao, this is the best god weapon for her, the most powerful weapon with unlimited possibilities. Giving her enough time to grow up, Yun Shi was afraid that even God could be killed by her. Of course, she doesn't have that power yet. Pat. With faster speed and reaction ability than Xiao Chao, Yun Shi's palm hit her sword body from the side. The strange concussion force passed from the sword body. This is not magic or spell, but the high-level application of the soft body's force. Other members of the Starwing Knights who fought against Yun Shi were completely defeated by this kind of attack, and they didn't even know how they got it. Xiao Chao was obviously different. At the first moment when her body was invaded by the power of soft water palm, her body began to shake in a strange rhythm, while the sword in her hand was as stable as ever. The soft water palm's force was dissolved for the first time. The rhythm of Xiao Chao's body automatically analyzed the way of soft water palm's invasion and used the method she could use to resist the silent attack. It's a terrible talent. Although Yun Shi himself shared Xiao Chao's talent, just like Hua's talent, it's impossible to exert a stronger power of the seed than the girl herself. The sword of the mortal is a god sword only belonging to Xiao Chao, her exclusive hero road. Yun Shi's choice is not the path of the sword of the mortal. The Sea of Stars is his final destination. Xiao Chao's seed, now in the Sea of Stars, seems inconspicuous, but it has the greatest potential to become the most dazzling star. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.